What's up, everybody? What up, what up, what up? Oh, no, didn't want that. What up, fuckers? Oh, I got a lot on my fucking brain tonight. I've been having shit on my brain all day. There's a lot going on. What's up, Casey? What's up, what's up, what's up? Hopefully everybody's having a good night. I got I got a lot of emotions tonight because a lot of shit has happened today. Um, I'm angry about a lot of shit. I'm trying to get me together. So this morning, all right, so many of you know that in my city, a lot's been going on here lately. We've had some serious lawsuits come out about sexual assault amongst officers, particularly the sex crimes unit. And yesterday, our chief resigned. And I was happy at first, and I'm still happy. I'm not. But then last night, like the anger and shit, um, set in because there's been a lot that has happened in the last couple years. I'm mad because I'm so upset. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, I'm trying to get me together. So this morning I got up, and I went live on my Facebook, and I reminded people of what the last couple years have been like, right? So, one day I had somebody call me, or no, I went over to somebody's house that their organization they were at, and we went in their office and we talked, and she's another advocate. Yeah, Christine, you can come up. I don't want nobody else on panel though. Not right now. I'll have, I might let you guys up in a minute, but Christine knows how to do it. That's all I can say. And she's kind of been around for all this. And that's it, KT, right? Like you feel like you're going crazy because it's not right, the shit that they do. What up?
Hey, baby. I'm just here for support, so you feel like you're talking to somebody.
So, all right. So an advocate came to me a couple years ago and said, Summer, I went to a Christmas party and I got sexually assaulted by an officer. Officer Pettico. I want you all to remember these names that I tell you all because I'm not just gonna sit by and watch what I've watched the last couple days that I found out when I started today, and I definitely got some people's attention for sure. Anyway, so she tells me she's been assaulted, and I ask her what she wants to do because no matter what I do or what I want or what I think, it's always up to the victim. And even though she's an advocate in this situation, she was a victim. And so at first she was, scared and she was nervous to say anything, which I get because if you know our police department, you know that anybody that speaks up, a lot of things happen. You can get harassed. They can plant shit on you and put you in jail. People have came up dead. A lot of shit has happened, right? LMPD has a very, very serious back, and even right now, like, just a lot of serious shit going on. Hence to why we've had 6 chiefs in a matter of 4 years. Anyway, so I asked her, I said, what do you want to do? And she says, first she didn't want to do anything because she was scared. And then she said, and I told her, I said, I know this is hard. I was like, and whatever you decide, I'm going to be here for you. And I was so mad for her. And finally she came to me and she said, I think I want to report it. Yeah, Louisville takes it all. And Fred 100%. So she says, I want to go report. And so we do. We go and report because that's what you're supposed to do, right? Now you're talking about advocates we're both advocates. We're both survivors. We have both received very high awards for the work that we do in our community. We both had opened up shelters and drop-in centers, and we had done MAD trainings. We've trained officers, we've trained doctors, we've trained psychologists, we've trained teachers, we've trained, you name it, we've trained them, right, on the signs and the trauma of human trafficking. And so for her to go to a Christmas party and then get assaulted, kind of like, took us both back. So we go and we do everything that's right. We go and do report everything, and we talk to everything. And then we start getting harassed. I actually had an officer, tell me that I should keep it in-house. We need to keep it in-house because what do you think would happen if the victims found out that an officer assaulted an advocate? And of course, that really triggered me and pissed me off because for those that don't know, and I'm not going to go into a bunch of details, but I've been sexually assaulted by officers in my past. So, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't believe this had happened to my friend. I couldn't believe that these officers were telling us to keep it in-house. All of it, you know what I mean? And so they kept on harassing, they kept on, doing things. Certain things would happen. Weird shit would start happening to both of us. Resources started getting dried up. And when I say that, I mean, like, the work that we do, it takes resources. And so if you can't get resources as far as like help, right? Like, I would have victims come to me and say, I would say, hey, go talk to this person, go holler at this, and see if they can help. And they wouldn't give them any help. Everybody's going to have to wait until I get done talking, and then I'll let everybody up. Because if I let a bunch of people up, I'm not going to be able to get this out because this is really hard. This is a lot. So I promise, Easy, I'll let you up in just a minute, babe. It's been a long day and I'm trying to get all this out. Again, this will be the second time I'm telling this. So anyway, so we do everything. We report everything. Nothing happens. We talk about if there's a good cop, then they need to stand up and say something. And a detective I know, his name's Jason, he did just that. He stood up and was like, hey, these advocates are trying to get help. These people are trying to keep it in-house. What does that mean? That means officers do not want it to go to court. They don't want a report about it. They don't want the public to know about it. They don't want anybody to know about it. They want to keep it in-house, and they'll handle it. In other words, they're going to discipline him, and nobody needs to know about it. Internal Affairs don't need to know about it. The DOJ doesn't need to know about it. The news doesn't need to know about it. No one needs to know about it. That's what it means when they tell you they want to keep it in-house. So, of course, that was not okay for me, right? And that pissed me off. And so I started going to Facebook because that's what I do. This is before I kind of started coming over here. I have a really big following over on Facebook. And I would, just kind of just told everybody what I'm telling you guys. And then Jason started standing up and he started saying, hey, like, it's really important to help these women. It's really important to, this isn't okay the way this stuff's being handled. Officers, would make stupid ass remarks and whatever. They started harassing him. Then they fired him because he was not in the good old boys club. He was not in this sick little twisted situation that I'm going I didn't know at the time. Apparently there is a whole situation in the sex crime unit per the lawsuits that have came out in the past year and a half. So once Jason gets fired and he's been blackballed, his name's been pretty much they wanted to tarnish his name, acting like he was not able to do his job and all this other shit. And all he did was actually push back on the same officers that are now filing lawsuits against each other for sexually assaulting each other. Not only do they have Christmas parties, but they have pool parties and they have all kinds of other parties. And then they're swingers and all this other shit. And in that process, other officers have now been assaulted, right? So that's what's happening right now. But back when all this stuff was going on, I didn't know the gist of everything. Well, in the midst of us doing deep dive and us people reaching out because we started making this shit public and everything like that. And then Jason decides he's going to sue LMPD. It's a whistleblower case. We go into court. It is the same day. It's back in November. It's the week of Thanksgiving this past year. I'm sitting in the Breonna Taylor federal trial in the morning. That in the early afternoon, I have to go to one of my protest brothers' murder trial and give a victim impact statement. This all happened in the same day. And then right after that, I had to run over to the courthouse and testify in a whistleblower case on the stuff that I just told you all right now, how officers were calling us and telling us that we need to keep things in the house. We don't need to be reporting anything. And I wasn't going to do that because I had found out that this officer Pettico had not only assaulted our advocate, but also had assaulted other women. So they're keeping it in house obviously doesn't work, right? Which I already know that. And I wasn't going to keep it in house. And so we go to court and I testify, the other advocate testifies, other people testify. The lawyer that was for LMPD for the sex crime unit, he tried to discredit us because we were survivors and, oh, look at all the tattoos she has and all this other stuff, right? And so after I walk out of the courtroom, which I'm going to be getting the video, there's an appeal process and all this other stuff that I guess whatever. But when I do get the video, I am going to play the video because I want the public to see the video. Because now all of this shit is coming out with these sex crime cases, which I posted a bunch of shit on my community page. I'm a little triggered right now. This probably wasn't the best time for me to do this. But like my brain's just going 500 miles an hour because so I get home today. So all that happens. We go to court. Jason wins his case. Welcome to Trauma Brain, you guys. My bad. Jason wins his case, right? So now there's an appeal process that goes in. A couple months have gone by. Obviously, now we're sitting in 5 days ago. Lawsuits started coming out of the sex crime unit, which again, I posted those on my community page. It's kind of crazy because like it started with 2 officers and then these other 2 officers assaulted another officer, but then the other officer assaulted another officer. I mean, it's fucking insane. Okay. Then yesterday, the chief quits. And they're putting it all as the chief resigns because of the sex crime scandals. And this is what pisses me off. Is first of all, there should not even been any more fucking victims. You know what? And because I'm a real fucking advocate, even if it's police officers, there should not be any more victims. If they would have listened to the victims that have already gone through this bullshit and had to go through their stupid ass courts and their stupid ass fucking interrogations to report shit. And if these officers would have been let go and held responsible for what they continue to fucking keep doing, more victims wouldn't be created. And it's just, it's still what pissed me off this morning is because I watched our mayor's Greenberg, and in my video I said our last mayor's name, and my bad. I have trauma brain, so this shit happens. Anyway, I listened to him sit on that fucking podium, and he stood there, and he just like, we're gonna start, this can't ever happen again. Da 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 da. Let me explain something to you all. Fucking cops don't get fired and the head ups don't know what the fuck is going on. So if you have a mayor, you have Metro Council people, or you have other people that are trying to act like they don't know what the fuck is going on, fuck what you're talking about, motherfucker. You've known about this shit. Because I personally made sure they fucking knew. And not only that, but anytime anybody gets fired, they knew. They had to pay out hundreds of $1,000s to somebody. You don't think they know? Now they all want to get up here and act like they didn't know what's going on. Get the fuck out of here. I'm so over this fucking police department. So the video I made today on Facebook was a little bit more anger, a little bit more, whatever. But it definitely got some attention, and I've had some people reach out, and I'm not going to stop with this, dude. I'm not going to stop with this, because now on top of all of this, that Officer Pettico I told you about, that we got demoted. I got him demoted to street cop, which I wasn't happy with that, because I felt like, okay, now you're alone with fucking victims. How does this even make fucking sense? But now he's a sergeant. He's a sergeant. So I just have a lot of shit on my brain right now, and this really isn't a show. This really isn't a, whatever. I just needed to get some shit out of my brain, because, like, the fact that they can continue to stand up these fucking podiums and know that they're creating victims, and then act like that they just fucking found out. You will not insult the work that I have done in this fucking state. You will not insult my fucking integrity. You will not insult victims that is continue to be made out of this fucking police department, and think I'm going to sit back and not fucking say nothing.
You have every right to say something. You know that.
Yeah, I won't do what they told me. Keep it in house. Keep it in. You're gonna tell a victim. You're gonna tell an HT survivor that you know the shit that I've been through, and you actually have the audacity with your privileged, sorry, pussy ass motherfucker. It is to keep it in house. Yeah, keep it in house. So, I took a break from all this because between this and then also testifying in the, Breonna Taylor stuff, like, my life became a living hell. We had to move 3 times. Like, I got a stalker that, like, was really dangerous, and the police half the time wouldn't even take my fucking reports. The last couple of years have been a lot, and so it's just like seeing that mayor stand at that fucking podium yesterday, and it didn't hit me at first, but it hit me later on. You know what I mean? And I woke up this morning and I was just, that fire's back in me. You know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna just stand by and allow this administration or anybody else taking the chief seat or anything like that to act like that this is just something that just happened and it's a one-time thing. And nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I didn't survive everything I survived to sit down and keep my fucking mouth shut. That's not how I work. I'm gonna bring Easy on. It's not how I roll.
No, but getting it out of your mind is the thing you need to do.
Hi, Summers. I was listening after I left my live and everything. And you were live. God bless you. You already know how I feel about you. I already told you. And I know we all go through hard shit, but I'm just proud of how you hold it down. Simple as that. Like, everybody in this world go through some crazy shit, but you went through some hard shit that a lot of people will break and probably kill themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
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 So, shout out to you, mama. I respect that. Stay strong
and that's the thing. Like, a lot of people. I think you gotta echo Easy.
I'll fix it right now.
Okay. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to do this kind of work anyway. Like, and shout out to all the auditors and the protesters and the freedom fighters that do this shit. And, like, I can do a lot of stuff. And I can do this too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna not do it.
Easy coming in. Easy coming in. Better.
Yeah, that's better.
All right.
But then when
Like
you
I
have
said,
to like,
I respect you and what you do. I don't know if you heard it during the echo. I respect you and what you do, and like I said, a lot of people will not be strong enough to survive this, survive what you've been through. So don't let people get to you, because a lot of people will actually give it up more than survive with the issue. So I am proud of you in every way that survive.
I appreciate you. It's just hard, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it just gets so. It's almost
Good.
like I know what's coming. You know what I mean? Like I took this beast on before, and it was a hard fucking beast to take on. You know what I mean? And sometimes you just want to be like, and I said that in my lab today. I was like, you know, and people wonder why like survivor advocates, like it's hard to survive the shit you
Because
survive, but then
survivors
to
know.
go
You
out,
feel like it's
it
your
ain't even that. Well,
if
that too, but like to go back out in the same places and do that shit. You know what I mean? Like and hold these motherfuckers accountable and we are and people know what I'm talking about because there's people here that have had survived police brutality, survived all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? And are out here fighting that shit, and that it just gets hard sometimes. And it's like I can
listen,
feel the war
I
that's
know
about
what
to
you
come
go through,
on.
Summer. I know what you go through because I know people and like friends, not family, none of my family, but good friends been through situations like this, and I done like sat there and talked to them about it. That's why I understand where you come from and shit like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I actually helped like 2 to 3 of them out of the game and shit like that, whatever the case, and the struggle. And it was hard for them to accept it. It was hard to talk about it. It was hard to. It's really hard. These people in the background don't really understand right now. The people in the chat, unless you've been through that type of shit or have family or friends that been through it, it's hard to understand. But good to make notice of it.
Yeah, like today I got to thinking like because here they are and they're like because they didn't even it's all the victims that bother me, right? Like we had a young lady here. I got a phone call. It was there while we were protesting. I got a phone call because the neighborhood, you know how the block is. You know who you could trust and you know who you can't trust. You feel me? And so
Simple as that,
some
yeah.
shit had went down. And the neighborhood was like, "Yo, Summer, whoop, 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 this is going on. The police done found this girl in the alley. Like, we need you. You need to get here. Da 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 da." I was in the middle of something, so I couldn't make it right away. But by the time I made it there, I had them sending me video, everything, like I was there. You know what I mean? And so I get there and I check, because something told me, because I found out they took her and everything. And so I was like, you know what? Something just told me, like, take your ass over to the alley. So I go over to the alley and I'm looking and like all kinds of shit's there. Somebody sent me a picture of the tarp being there. And by the time I got there, I couldn't believe that they actually sent me the picture of the tarp still being there. And I was just thinking to myself, like, this woman, because of her past and because of the things she's went through, they don't do their jobs. They don't never do their jobs. They're worried about assaulting people. They're worried about planting dope. They're worried about fucking getting over on the next person. And here, I'm not even talking about criminals. I'm talking about the fucking police department. I'm not talking about pimps. I'm not talking about drug users, gangbang. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about fucking cops. They try to feed us that this woman got in a fucking truck and got naked and rolled herself in a tarp and dropped herself on a fucking alley and that was, you know what I mean? It's just time and time again. And to be honest with you, we don't know if a cop was involved in all that. And that's the shit that like you have to sit and think about like all the time. You have to sit here and you have to think about every situation you walk up in. Is a cop involved in this?
Yeah.
And then they're doing shit like making this motherfucker a sergeant. And I'm not surprised, dude. I'm not surprised at all. Listen, I'm not surprised at all because I'm being trafficked and shit like that. You understand who's fucking the big players and all that, right? But like, it's just mind blowing to me because I can see the sweetness, right? They had this news conference, little thing, let's talk about getting over how do we move forward with all the sexual misconduct in the police department and blah 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 blah, and I'm sitting here listening to them and it's just I respect the ladies that were trying to do the panel and what they were saying, but it was just like I felt like every single one of those women represented the office in one form or another. So it was like, why aren't you talking to like advocates? Why aren't you talking to community members? Why are you still talking to them?
They will always, no matter what, if it's the government, if it involves government, they will back it up. But when it involves citizens and the people, they always shade it, throw it under the rug, ignore it, and you know all that type of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like if it comes to like in your situation, and they were like, "Oh, nothing's wrong. We can't do nothing. This, that, that." What the fuck you mean? You can't do nothing.
Yeah, it's just.
Like,
we are, Ozzy. Like, literally, the DOJ, all bullshit aside, the DOJ has literally ruled us as one of the racist police department ever, and one of the worst corrupt police departments in America. And we're Louisville, Kentucky. Like, we're not New York, we're not Chicago, we're not fucking LA, we're not Miami. We're fucking Louisville, Kentucky.
What Ozzy said? Let me see. Much love, summer. It's tough. Sis, I feel ya. I feel ya, chicken.
I don't know, dude. It's just a lot. And some nights it just gets too much in my fucking brain.
Shout out to Cass, man. I was ranting earlier. Summer, I feel you because I was ranting on my bullshit earlier, but I'm sober up right now. I was emotionally disturbed, I guess. But
it's all right. It happens.
I'd rather let it out on the stream than let it out physically or on trying to get mad at somebody and beat them up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't afford that right now. Not in my life. I could do better.
One thing that I like about streams and why I think it was a good idea, Summer coming live tonight. She's not only speaking for herself; she has so many advocates that have been through what she's been through. And then you come up upon a woman.
Christine, was you there for her meeting? Was you watching her meeting? I was in and out. I wasn't there the whole time, but I was in and out for every day.
For the outreach or which meeting?
It's at my DC.
Oh yeah, I was
the one in DC.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was in and out, baby doll. I'm everywhere.
I was in and out. Yeah, it was a lot going on that weekend, but I mean around the time. So,
but you know, and as a person who's an advocate, and they come across another victim, and Summer, you said this earlier in one of your lives that. How do you take this victim and get them the resources?
That's what I'm struggling with.
Yeah, it's a tough call.
It's sending victims into the lion's den. Like you want me, you know how many times that I have victims come up or I get called to a scenario or a situation and I'm sitting here and they're like, okay, like what do we do? How do I get justice? How does this happen? How does that happen? And what am I supposed to tell them? To go to the sex crime unit where they're going to continue to make them a fucking victim?
Look, imagine that. Look,
and I look in their eyes and there's like only so much I can do. And that shit kills me.
Think about this though. In the US, right? You already see what they do for our vets. Like angry vets. The struggle these vets go through. And they served for the country.
Yeah, but I'm talking about children.
You know how hard it is for us to like even make change in the civil for situations that you're in. I know it's hard. Some of it's hard. Like this country's fucked up. Some of it's ass backwards.
Yeah, I know.
We've been saying that for years, and you know something. And I'm sure Summer feels the same way. When you think you're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, all of a sudden that wall just came slamming in your face.
Yeah, and that's what this week has been feeling like. You know what I mean? Like I have victims. I have people that need help. I have people that need justice. I have people like, and do you know what it's like? I mean, I know you do, Christine, but do you know what it's like to sit there and look at a child or look at a woman or even for that matter, look at a man that has been abused and something's happened to them and you don't know what to tell them because the people that are supposed to fucking help are worse than the fucking pimps and abusers that did it to them.
Well, and that's one of the big things.
And that's the thing, yeah, like she said, that's one of the big things. You know why? Because it makes you feel more than like, oh, what's the word? Worthless, worthless. It makes you feel worthless,
You feel helpless.
like
Helpless.
helpless. There you go. It makes you feel helpless that you can't do nothing, and that's what causes suicidal.
Well, you can. Here's the problem that I see, and some are watching your live earlier and kind of picking up a few things. This is what I see. That you're an advocate. You've been through this. You come across a young woman, scared, been assaulted, doesn't think anybody's going to believe her because she has a past. Things have happened to her, the way she dressed, the way she looks, her tattoos that she had. And here's an advocate. We know there are resources out there, but are we going to send this victim, this abused young child, this abused mother, this abused, and I don't care if she's a prostitute on a corner. At this time, she's a victim. She was abused. Sexually, physically, she was abused. So now do we take that person and the resources that are there for them, we give them that information, and we pray to God that they don't get sexually abused and re-victimized all over again, because we're trying to build this trust up. And this sex crime unit is supposed to build trust up. And the second one of those officers lays a finger, you will never be trusted again. So how's an advocate? You send them into, as Summer calls it, the lion's den, but then they become a victim all over again.
Like
It's just,
even
you
trusting
know,
a cop that, like, all right, like trusting a cop, trusting a cop that you believe is good in some matter of form, and then you be fucked by the same officer that you trusted.
There you go.
oh yeah,
Same
yeah,
resources
100%.
that we sent them into.
Or
I
you have,
feel,
you know, or you have domestic violence victims that are literally running for their life. And, you know, because the detectives in the unit are so fucked up and caught up on all their own stupid shit, not wanting to do their fucking job, like, you end up having to bury them because nobody will help.
well,
You know what that's like to walk around with?
and
It hurts.
that
It sucks.
that unit should have been torn down and destroyed, especially when those two officers showed up on social media in that kitchen.
Come on, Christy. See, thank you, because I'm so jacked up because of some phone calls I had to take. My brain's just not there. That's why I said everybody should watch the video, because I explain it much better. But yes, let's not forget about the two officers that ended up on TikTok naked because they thought it was funny and they thought they could.
And guess what
Naked
they do?
on
And guess what they
TikTok.
do?
Yes, I'm gonna break it down.
And do you know, Easy, Summer, tell them what the job is of those two cops.
Which one was they? I can't. My brain's
Well,
so.
what
Were they?
wasn't one in the sex crime unit?
Yeah, one was a sex
Yeah,
crime unit. One was a domestic violence unit.
yeah,
Yeah.
God damn.
You
they're
have a
naked.
naked sex crime detective, a sex crime detective. Imagine being a victim. Imagine being a victim and you're sitting on TikTok one night and you know that you have a rape case or whatever it may be, right? And the next thing you know, the
He's
detective that you
groping
see
you.
working
He's
on it
groping you.
is naked on fucking TikTok.
This thing is groping on you. I bet you he's gonna be groping on you, rub you somehow, touch you somehow.
No, he was on. No, Easy. No, I'm sorry, but he was. No, they were. What I'm saying is there was a officer, two officer, a man and a woman, whatever. They thought it was funny and cute to play this game, and they ended up naked. So can you just imagine? Well, I get what you're saying. You would think he was groping on you. I see what you're saying now. My bad. My brain's slow. Overlooking.
Okay.
Of course, they already dirty. You know they're gonna take advantage of her, grab her. Oh, we gotta search you. Start grabbing and try to get her to feel good. But she'll be like, oh, I'll fuck you if I can get out of this, and then get a quick nut and get out of here.
It ain't even that. No. It's not even just the fact that they're sitting there, and I mean, I don't know, to anybody. Like, I just think I would feel disgusted to sit there and see my detective.
Feel, yeah, if that was my detective, I would feel
feel violated.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100. I do not want to see a detective that is in a crime unit on TikTok when I have to go into the office tomorrow because I've been sexually abused and I have to tell these two people my story. Come on.
Right.
Come
Yeah,
on.
because that's what every fucking victim of sexual assault wants to do, right?
You know,
And
and
It's
what's
just
the
a
hard
lot,
part of being
and
a
this is
victim? You know what's the hard part of being a victim? Like I was just saying, is repeating over and over and over what happened. That's traumatizing.
I agree with you, sissy. Shit, you know better. You know people in fucking Louisville ain't shit, dude. It's
What
just,
Sissy
it's
said.
so frustrating.
On the
And this is
screen.
the part, right? This is the part advocates
Can you
that,
put it on big
you know,
screen
like
somewhere?
these
I'm
aren't
not reading
just
comments.
people. What?
I'm not reading comments. Can you put it on big screen?
Oh,
Needs an
yeah.
emergency.
She's just saying Louisville needs an emergency hearing on the to fire the mayor and the cops.
I agree with her. Go to
Yeah,
the council meetings.
because
Get a town hall meeting.
hold on, let me. Oh, I'm not, girl. I'm telling you. That's why I have to get this shit out. Like why it's
Yeah.
all kabobbled in my head. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So because tomorrow when I wake up, oh honey, if you ain't on my Facebook, you probably should be. Just saying. It's public. Hold on, let me
They're shooting
explain.
right now.
I have
Listen,
to
listen.
explain.
They're shooting. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Yeah.
13,
Oh, that's just
14,
somebody shooting off.
What are we
15,
counting?
16,
Somebody
16
shooting in the air.
shots.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Somebody was
16,
just
16
literally a
shots.
woman, and I in the morning I have to check to see what woman on 26 was killed. I just got that updated too, Christine.
Uh,
I got bad habit count bullets. Sorry.
No, you're good. Here, I'll read how this. Somebody wrote it and they did it perfect, and I'm gonna read this. I'm waiting for my phone to cut on to explain to you like how these detectives were assaulting other detectives, and then they were victims, but then the victims turned into predator. Like it's fucking crazy. I don't know. It's just sometimes I have to get this shit out, and sometimes this is welcome to Trauma Brain and welcome to Survivors Advocates. Sometimes I just have to get on here and just talk a little shit, even if I don't make sense, because I just have to process everything, and because I have too much in my fucking brain. If you guys could see the case files and shit that we have to deal with, and now on top of this, I have to still continue to do this shit with these fucking
Like,
idiots.
and I bet you since oh, there's not enough evidence. They always downplay it. They downplay it for you victims, and
and that's
it's
why
hard to be.
they hate seeing the victim come in with an advocate. You know that, right?
All right, so here, listen
Exactly.
to this, guys. Hold on, y'all. Listen to this. Okay. And this whole LMPD sex scandal. Oh my God. It's like a real housewife of LMPD. Shannon accuses Brian of sexual assault, but Shannon and Jeff sexually harassed Laura, and Dale and Justin harassed Christine. Mayor's solution is to more clearly define sexual harassment.
Well, it's better than a sexual harassment class that takes 45 minutes. You take a
That's what
test
they're
and
gonna
say,
do.
okay.
That's what
Yeah,
they're doing. That,
100%.
that's exactly. Well, that's what they was gonna do before I decided to open my motherfucking mouth, because I'm not gonna shut the fuck up. I don't give a fuck. I will stand, you know me. I will stand in the middle of 6th and Jefferson by my goddamn self with my fucking bullhorn and be annoying as fuck to these cocksuckers until I have nothing else to do.
Yo,
I have
Summers,
nothing else to do.
Christine,
Yes.
Christine and Summers. Can you find the I'm with Christine. Is there a decimal level for a human's voice?
Oh my gosh. Texas has that, don't they?
I don't know what state has it, but I know in New York they don't.
Texas does. Texas has your voice cannot go above a certain decimal, or it has to be so 500 feet away from a place that you want to protest.
Yeah, well, I don't give a fuck about none of that. They can suck my dick.
That's right.
I'm telling you, I'm
I
very, I'm
love it.
very beyond some bullshit.
Yo,
I'm
I'll
very
be
beyond
shitting
some
on
fucking.
cops.
I know.
Cops in New York be like, yo, you mad loud, you just saw the corner. What decimal, what law specifically says
I got one of the
a
best civil
human's
rights
decimal
lawyer in
number?
town. I ain't worried about them cocksuckers.
Fuck you talking about,
They
nigga?
they don't
Just
like
on
my
the count
lawyer.
of what, nigga?
What's up, Casey?
What that, Casey?
Nothing. I'm just fucking disgusted with all this bullshit.
Right?
Oh my goodness. Hold on one second.
Hold on, let me drop the link on my copy this one.
So another advocate. Now this is in Massachusetts. Pregnant woman who accused 3 cops of sexually abusing her as a teen may have been killed.
Oh,
They're trying to blame it on suicide. It was not fucking suicide, dude. As soon as they say that shit, you know right then and there that they did that shit. I don't
yep.
give a fuck.
Shut her
They're
up.
a fucking liar.
We gotta shut her up. I mean, heaven help. A victim opens their mouth.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because when you do, they end you.
You know, things like this.
And that's what's the thing. It's scary, right? In some sense. But like, no matter how scary it gets, I'm not going to stop, right? We know that by now. We know what I'm about and all of that. We're talking about a specific topic right now, your mom. Kind of serious shit. Cops sexually assaulting people and thinking they can fucking get away with it in our city. So that's kind of what we're talking about right now. When I open it up for just regular discussion, if I do, then yeah, but that's kind of what we're talking about at the moment. But yeah, it's just, dude, this shit's just fucking too much.
Well, and
Sorry,
the thing,
Summers.
You're all good. I don't know, dude. It's just fucking disgusting. I'm just over it. You know what I mean? The shit gets old. Like, it's just like, dude, I feel like this is all I've been doing is fighting the fucking police.
but
Shit gets fucking old.
eventually
Hey,
things
you ever
will
saw
work
the
out.
Ants movie? If the Ants ever realize that they outnumber us 100 to 1, we're fucked.
Right? You
And
know,
we outnumber them 100 to 1. 100 to 1. The civilians will always win in a civil war.
But easy. I'm sorry, and I love everybody, but most people that claim that they want to do civil war, they're too pussy to do real civil war. I mean,
yeah,
look how J6 turned out.
they don't even hold guns. People that are ready for civil war don't even hold guns. I'm just saying.
Yeah, civil war is not going to go down like that. Not like everybody thinks.
Hi,
It sounds
Casey.
good, but
Casey,
when
how
it
you
comes
doing?
down to it, I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm good, Easy. How are you?
Nice to meet you. Nice to talk to you.
Nice
okay.
to meet you too.
Well, I'm not even gonna say hello. I'm drunk as fuck. I'm just sobering
Oh,
up
you're
now.
good. Don't worry.
You're doing good.
I've been drinking. Listen, I had a bad day today. All emotionally disturbed and all that. I've been drinking since 9. So
Can't say
9
I
in the
blame
morning
you.
till right now. I still got one more left. I said I won't finish this one. I'm go up back.
Yeah, maybe drink a glass of water before you go to bed.
It'll be all right. I'll wake up at like 3, 4, take a good piss. I'll be all right.
I'm rolling a nice fat blunt. That's what I'm doing.
There you go. That's what you need to do.
That makes me
brings
jealous.
This is how you know when you're fucked up, when you can't even fucking comprehend a smoke a blunt. That's when you got
That
shit
makes
on your
me
fucking
jealous.
brain.
You know why? You know why, Summers? Because I forgot to buy all the weed in the world when I came home.
Oh, that's one thing
I'm
I
over
never go
here.
without.
I was so worried trying to bust a nut. I forgot to cop a blunt.
Your mom. If you want to, it seems like you can actually speak on this topic. If you want to speak on this topic, you're more than welcome to hit the link. I just want to keep it kind of on this right now because honestly, my brain is just kind of. I'm just having a lot of. I don't know, dude. I'm just fucked up right
Hey,
now.
yo, your moms, what up? Your moms is
Here, let me get the
supposedly from my
comment.
hood. Your
Yeah, get
moms
that
is supposedly
Yeah,
from
I'll
my hood.
definitely.
So I
Hold
don't
on,
know. I
Easy.
don't know if they officially are from my hood,
Okay.
but they're from my hood. All right.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not
Well,
sure.
now she's in my hood. So how you doing?
How you
But no, if she can speak on this comment, yes, I definitely would love to have her up. Most definitely. I just want to, like I said, I want to keep it on this because it's just a fucking lot.
Well, and this is going to lead into a conversation about this
No.
immunity and qualified immunity and carte blanche immunity coming up.
Listen, let me tell you something, Christine. I promise you, all day long, I literally was fighting tears back because, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm out tonight. I'm seeing, doing what we do or whatever, and I just keep thinking. I'm looking at different things, and I'm seeing shit that I know is not right. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, dude, this is so fucked up because if these motherfuckers get qualified immunity, it's a wrap. It's over with.
Yeah.
Your mom. Okay, there you go. Tommy just took it. Thank you, Tommy. Tommy's the best fucking mod ever, dude.
I know.
He's
Did
awesome
y'all see
mod.
that video with the cop? Summers, did you see the video with the cop
Yeah.
stuck in the back of the cop car? That he had to call in.
What
No.
was it?
Oh, y'all didn't see that video?
Okay,
The cop
sweetie.
was stuck in the back of the cop was stuck in the back of the cop car and he had to call in for help.
Because he locked
Stupid
himself in his
motherfucker.
cop
I want
car.
to see that fucking video. I need something to laugh at. Let me laugh at these fucking
No,
pigs.
Summer. Listen, he's trying to get his freak on and got locked in the back of his fucking vehicle.
Oh, wait a minute.
wow.
He was another broad back there, or was he by himself?
There was a broad back there.
Ha ha, that's what the fuck he gets. I hope he got it. And the thing is, they probably bought him a fucking beer. They didn't write him up for fucking in the back of his car thing. They roasted his ass a little bit and bought him a fucking beer. I put money on it.
Christine, do your research, Christine. I can't find it right now. Just know that what I said is true.
Oh,
Yeah,
yo,
I'll
Look it up and
find it.
find it somewhere. He got locked in the back of his fucking own patrol car when trying to get his freak on.
Yeah, I've seen that video. I've seen that
What's
one.
up,
Easy.
bro?
Who's that?
Sorry,
Ozzy?
y'all. I'm just having a
Ozzy?
shitty night.
Ozzy,
Yeah, I'm
Ozzy,
here.
rolling the
Ozzy.
phone. Give me a second,
What up,
Ozzy. I didn't even know you was here, Ozzy. I heard your voice. Who's that? Ozzy? I love Ozzy.
What were you saying, bro? Yes, me too. Look, right now, roll it up.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I just realized I'm like, bitch, I haven't smoked.
Well, there's the problem.
It's just,
the same time you just
you know how
roll
some-
on.
Right? I said, I'm jealous. I didn't get no weed on the way home. What am I rolling?
I don't know. What are you rolling?
What am I rolling? Summer, I ain't getting no weed on the way home. What am I rolling?
Roaches.
I love you, girl.
Shit. We break down the roaches. We ain't got no bud. Come on now. What the hell? I'm a pothead, baby. That's why I leave all my roaches. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with it. I leave all my roaches long because I like weed. So I always have bud. But yeah, if every great now and then I run short, yeah, I always hit that motherfucking roaches. I sure do.
Yeah.
It's not even that. I run short. I forgot to buy it, so I was like, fuck it, bamboo and roaches.
And by the way, I just want to say thank you to everybody that came up because like tonight's just been a bad day, like mentally.
It's a good topic too. It happens everywhere. Like we had a big inquest into a lot of juvenile justice back at the boys' homes and all that back in the day, and there's been hundreds of millions of dollars worth of payouts because of how many kids that were getting tampered with while they're locked up in boys' homes, and kids everywhere, all over the world. It's everywhere, and I'm talking
Ozzy,
about a lot of my good friends. I was fortunate enough not to go to juvenile jail, but all of my friends did, and they all copped it, man. And like I said with that man said that I had Summer, like these are the people that I had to deal with every single day, and the same thing. I feel exactly the same way. It's hard,
that makes a big difference within the system, and when it was tampered with when they was in jail, or tampered with out of jail, because that makes another one want to being tampered with somebody else.
Also, here I want to give you guys something to look. I want to give all you all something to look in. It's called. You look for LMPD Explorer program. Okay, These motherfuckers, you know, they're always doing community building, right? These motherfuckers said, hey, let's invent a program to where we can have kids come to, you know, like this summer camp, you know, this little camp thing, and have relationship with, you know, cops and learn how to be a cop and blah, blah, blah. And you know what they ended up doing? They ended up less than half the fucking kids. So I mean, this police department has such a long history of this shit. It's fucking insane. Hey, shit, Mom, how are you doing, sweetie?
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, that's a dude. I thought you were a woman.
Yeah,
My
she
bad.
I kept saying I said he's a she,
Oh, my bad.
or she's a he.
Just to chime in on some of the things you guys were talking about earlier. So predominantly when it comes to sexual assault cases, we kind of have to be careful regards to the court system, because we should not set up things that are called precedents in the court of law. So in other words, the problem normally typically is that in these cases, it's kind of like he said, she said. So ultimately, what ends up happening is that when you end up going to court and you have the prosecutor and you have a defense attorney, the most of sexual assault cases that don't have, like, let's say, you can look at things like, for example, rape kits and things like that, that might just determine that the person was just having some type of rough sex. So it proves that two people were having sex, but it doesn't necessarily prove that a crime happened.
Hey, listen.
So
I was hold on. What's his name? Sama? I'm gonna go Sama. Sama.
Yo, it's easy as me, Stan.
Stan, all right, Stan. Like, I was locked up recently when I knocked out a woman, and there was two pedophiles in there that raped fucking kids. And you know what happened to them? Without a problem? They was
6 feet
first
under.
to let go. They was first to be seen when the new judge came in, and they was first to be let go.
You know why?
Without a charge.
You know why, right?
One physically caught with his dick in her, and the second attempt. And
Let's not get too. Hold on, easy, because I have survivors on my channel that might be listening. Please don't get too graphic. That's all I ask.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, no,
We wanted to.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. So, for example, like, let's say cases that involve children, right? If you look up that statistics, like, let's say in New York City, you happen to go online, you'll notice like the majority of sex offenders in New York State will typically have the way they would codify it is that they would sort of rename the charge in a way where if it's presented in a court in front of a jury, it doesn't sound bad. So, for example, it used to be recently, we used to call it rape, right? First degree rape, second degree rape, third degree rape. Now the verbiage has changed. So it kind of changes the dynamic of how the jury perceives. So the only reason why this is done is because regardless of how much of a monster a person is, they have due process in court, right? So we have to kind of tread lightly, because if we do something wrong, which happens a lot in courtrooms, where we can sort of prove that there's a bias towards the person who happens to be defending themselves in court, then that could ultimately let that person loose. Now, another problem with the court system, well, it's not really a problem. It's just okay. So the other problem is that which is not really a problem, but I think a lot of people should know this. When you go to court, and let's say, for example, person A gets accused of sexual assault. So obviously, sexual assault is now the new term for rape, right? So sexual assault in the first degree. At the end of the day, it's all
your mic.
Not making.
Just going on robot, bro. Going on
Sound like a robot. We're having a good conversation. That's why.
That was fucking awesome over here.
Exactly.
Yo, drop down and come back in. Drop down and come back in. Drop down and come back in.
So I don't know if you realize it, but you're roboting.
I think it's his service is gone. He's fucking.
Well,
yeah, service is dropped. The service is dropped.
It sucked because that
He
was a
might be
good
able to play with something.
conversation.
He did have. Is he a lawyer or something? He had some good points.
I don't know. Yo, Summers, yo.
He's gonna-
You call me.
He's a,
You got lawyer talk. I like that.
oh yeah, I know my shit. Restart my phone 1 second. Okay, cool. But even if he doesn't, it means he knows inside of a courtroom. So that's actually, you know what I mean? Like,
That was your
I
mom.
want people to know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
your
your
mom. Your mom said he
I thought
lived
it was
like,
a lady.
on my block. He live on my block. If that's him, that he live on my block.
that's him.
Hey, that's why I said it's Stan. That's why, guys, it's Stan.
Stan,
Yeah.
hello.
He's a
It's
fucking.
Stan.
Yo. Oh wait, Stan. Oh, I know. I think I know who the fuck that
He
is.
said, "You don't remember who you went to school with? Who went
Yeah.
to school with you? He went to school with you.
Yeah, Stan. Stan, yeah. All right. I know who you are. It's your-
Oh, easy. Is that drink done yet? Go to bed.
No, I'm saving it. I'm trying to
No,
save
he's
it.
good. I'm glad
I'm
he's
just-
up here and
I'm
he's
just teasing
chilling.
him. I'm just teasing him.
If he's up here, he's not getting in any trouble.
Nah, Stan is good. Stan is a good guy. He's a good guy. He's smart fucker. That's
Yeah,
what
he
I'm
seems
hold
like
on.
he knows what he's. It's important,
Yeah.
and see, for like me, okay, listen, like of course, I would be like, if I could tell, I never tell a victim at all what to do. If they say, "Hey, I want to go to the hospital," that's what we do. Hey, I want to press charges. That's what we do. Hey, I don't want to press charges. That's what we do. Hey, I just need therapy. You know what I mean? I will lay that out there and tell them, hey, this is all me personally. Fuck them. Fuck the court system. Fuck the police. Fuck all of them because they're not going to fucking help. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'll never take that right away from a victim. And so whatever my personal beliefs are and how I feel some type of way, there's no way I would ever push that on a victim, right? So I go with them, and it's so heartbreaking because when you know the truth, right? And you understand that, like 90% of times you're not going to get justice. 95% of the time you're going to get re-victimized in court. 99% of the time the whole system's going to let you the fuck down. But when a victim's looking at you and is like, I want justice, I want this person to pay, I want this person to go to jail, I'm going to rock with you till the fucking wheels roll off. Hell, we just put a pedo away for 3 life sentences with no chance of parole, and that shit took 8 fucking years. But we stuck with it. The family stuck with it, and it fucking happened. So it's just so frustrating because I don't want to be in these courtrooms. I don't want to be dealing with this shit. But at the same time, I can't.
8 years? Why gotta take 8 years for him to get charged? For him, that's 8 years worth of victims.
Because every time, well, let me explain to you why. Because every time he went into the courtroom, this guy was a complete fucking psychopath. Remember Ozzy, the Bryce dude or whatever? When I went to court over it when I was going to court with that psycho fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I just came around in the community. It wasn't that long. It ain't been that long ago, but it's been a couple months. Anyway, this man, okay, let me tell you what this man did.
Was it
This
the kid
man
one?
this man groomed children to be in a gang. And then he groomed them he made them come along with him as he killed somebody, right? And he was gonna, he had hit on one of the boys or whatever. The kids got scared because they were like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Like, this man just killed somebody, told his parents. He found out that he told the parents. He took them back. He ended up getting them come back to their apartment. He hog-ties them, puts them in the bathroom, one by one, brings them out. He also grooms these other 2 children. Long story short, he stabs one of the kids in his genital. They burn him. They stab the 2 brothers. He gets 3 life sentences. The reason why it took 8 years is not because of the court for once. It was because every time he went to jail, he would spit on the judges. He would dox the judges' kids and tell them he's going to kill them. He would do all this crazy shit to continue to push these cases out because that's what these fucking psychopath, sick motherfucking pedophiles do. He was off the fucking chart crazy. Court TV had him and everything. Like it was it was intense. he was doing gang signs and shit in court. It was crazy.
That nigga, it sounded like he knew this. He knew the loophole around the system to be a pedophile.
Well, he knew what to do to prologue everything, right? He said, if you go in and you're threatening judges and you're going to tell them that you're going to gut their children. and they're gonna burn their houses down. I mean, he had like 5. I don't even know how many judges he went through. You know what I mean? Like he was crazy. So that's why that took that long, and that really wasn't on any part because just like the fuck, I'm gonna fuck his name up. Your mom said, no matter how psycho they are, no matter how disgusting they are, they still have to get due process. So he knew if he shook his due process up, it would take longer for him to get sentenced because he knew he was done. He knew he was done.
You understand?
He killed these babies and then burnt them.
Yeah.
Stan, wait till I see you on the block. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna let you. Let's talk.
And so, don't you agree, Ozzy? I mean, we've been around. I don't know about. I mean, I'm gonna say keep it on me.
Yeah.
I've been around some real dirt bags. And motherfuckers, when you get caught up in some dope or get caught up in some shit, you keep pushing that case out. Most people do it with money, but whatever. You know what I mean? You push that shit out until a couple years, and then your case isn't that bad. That's an old doughboy fucking trick.
Yeah, fucking nice. Fucking nice.
You know what I mean? And I know this.
Especially when you're going to get bail and shit like that as well, or you're on bail. Even if you're locked up.
Well, luckily he was locked up.
Yeah, even when you're locked up, it's the same. You don't you want to prolong it as long as you can, like, and that's it.
Yep, because once you leave county, you're done. You're in that. You're in, you know, whatever prison you're going to go to.
Once they get caught, they fuck. They, not us.
Yeah, but that's all. That's old school thing to do. You know,
I can't look at your messages right now. Be safe. Love you.
Well, you guys are lucky over there with having like the right to like speedy trial and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? That's something that if you know you're innocent, you want to do straight away because you know they're just going to prolong it. You know what I mean? Like everybody, when you know you're innocent, you gotta push for that speedy trial.
You fight as hard as you can. When you're guilty, you sound like guilty.
And by the way, my eyebrows are not drawn in, and there ain't nothing wrong with my eyebrows. Thank you very much.
Girl, put your shit.
But thank you, Silky. Hold on, Easy. Hold on. No, hold on, Easy. Thank you. Hold on. I just want to say, Silky, thank you for making me laugh. But my eyebrows ain't drawn on. All right, go ahead, Easy.
Go full screen and show him all.
Oh yeah, here I'll show you my eyebrows. I do look like a hot mess. Okay, first of all,
wait a minute. They're not like the police chief who resigned. They're not her eyebrows.
Yeah, they're not McDonald eyebrows. I've been in the rain. I've been on street outreach since fucking 4:00 today, and I was in storms all day, so I look a hot fucking mess. But ain't nothing wrong with my eyebrows. They good.
Yeah.
But thank you for making me smile because I've had a fucking horrible day and I need a little giggle. So thank you, Silky.
Thank you. Goodbye.
I seen him say eyebrows at first. I was like, is he talking about the chief? Because that bitch's eyebrows, the chief that we just got, that just resigned here in Louisville, that bitch's eyebrows was tattooed on and it looked like McDonald's arches. That shit was insane. It was so disrespectful.
That judge.
And they weren't even good McDonald arches.
Right. They were
halfway down they were halfway down the side of her face. Like, what the fuck?
Audrey, they can't fuck with Summers. Not Summers.
She had the worst lace front. She had the worst eyebrows. My homegirl was like, "Go get her eyebrows and shit together."
He said, "I used to be on Brooklyn's channel." Hold on, quote me if I'm wrong. Alexander said, "I used to be on Brooklyn channel saying,
yeah,
yo,
why are we? We're
shade,
no,
shade the flower."
Yeah, I don't know about any yeah.
That nigga was wildin', nigga.
Can't imagine drawing mine on. Honey, hers was fucking tattooed on. That shit was crazy.
Yeah, that's it.
Tattoos, threaded, bath threading.
Shit, I get mine threaded. That shit hurts.
Yeah,
your
hers
eyebrows
was badly
so fucking good.
My mom even gets hers threaded.
Yeah, I get mine. Well, they're cute. You can get them shaped really good.
She actually just got it, you know, those.
Talk about tattoos.
You know,
if you say something,
they nick,
if you got
you know, where they nick the skin and then they put the ink in, where it's like hairs. It looks like hairs. Like they do little strands. Like she just
don't you got a new tattoo
like that?
Yeah, here, easy. Hold on, I'll show you. Look, Ozzy, did you see my new tattoo?
Yeah. Yeah, I seen it on Facebook and that though. Yeah,
You
fucking
can't
hell.
eat me, man.
It says
Eater.
man eater.
Yeah, I seen
The
that.
nigga, the man
I
better
seen the
eater.
picture when it was half
That's what I
done, and
see.
then when it was like,
I see your man better eater. If not, nigga, somebody gonna eat it.
Silly. What's up, Kentucky
You-
Reacts? How are you doing,
yo,
sweetie?
Summers, you see how you got something like that? You know the V line? I want to get Puerto Rican, and then right at the end, I want to put dick. Puerto Rican dick.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, Easy. I don't know how many tats you got and all that, but the belly is nothing to fuck around with. The belly is. I got tats everywhere. I got over 70 tattoos, and that belly. Ooh,
same.
Ozzy, you got your belly tattooed?
yeah, I got my
Yo,
stomach
but
too.
Summers, you know what's whack, Summers?
Whew.
I do all my own tats.
Oh, do you? That's what's up.
Yeah, all my tats. So I'm about to put that Puerto Rican dick going straight to my dick, and then every time somebody fucking or sucking, they're gonna read Puerto
All
Rican
right,
dick.
easy. Yeah. Come on.
I'm sorry. I'm a little bot.
Pull it back in, baby. Pull it back in. All right, we got.
fault,
Oh, let me see.
There you go.
Yeah, see, them belly tattoos fucking hurt, man.
Yeah, they hurt.
My shit. Actually, there's a video on my live stream on my Let's Play channel of me getting tatted, and yeah, it was a beast.
That's just the outline of it. Fuck, I didn't want to get the cut any more done because it did hurt.
I thought you were
The
going to
fucking-
eat the pillow.
Look,
So
hey,
like, that's
I had
my
that
whole
motherfucking
stomach,
pillow
and I
out
was
of
like,
my-
I got that straight after the funeral when I found my mate hanging, and I
Uh-huh.
put him down.
Let me see if
Yeah,
I find. Let me see
straight
if I
up-
find the video
straight
when
after
I
his
tattoo
funeral, I got that
my
done. And fuck, that can't hurt, man.
when I
I'm telling
tattoo
you,
my feather. My
I got
feather
them
on
everywhere,
my
all
arm.
over.
Let me see if I got a video of that one. I think
All
I
right,
took a
you
video
get
of
it.
that
I'll
one.
share it. I bet it. I know it hurt because listen, he did the man part right, and I was like, fuck. I was like, I can't take it. And then so he was like, you want me to do the shading and everything, and then do the, he did one word at a
No,
time because I was like, I will not be able to handle you doing the outline. Go ahead.
Yeah, under my neck. No, under my neck didn't hurt nowhere near like you got on your side of your neck there. Mine goes all the way
Yeah.
across my neck, and yeah, that didn't hurt nowhere near as much as the stomach.
Nope.
I'm at
My
7%, guys.
All right, Easy. Well, we
Someone-
love you. Thank you for coming and
and-
checking on me.
Anybody coming in on my from my side of the panel, please jump to something. Can somebody on my side drop Summer's link before I leave?
Tommy, can you drop, or Christine, one of you all, can you drop the link over there? That way, if anybody does decide to come up, they're more than welcome to come up
Yes.
or come over and hang out with us.
please,
Could I
please
get that?
drop Summer link on my side. Somebody for I can get out of here. I want everybody to come join Summer's panel,
Oh, full
Please.
up, brother.
and thank you. before
Well,
I
not
leave.
Easy. I appreciate you coming and checking on me, like for real. I seen you in the back. You
No,
were
no,
actually
no.
listening and stuff, so I appreciate
Thank you, Easy.
No,
It was a
I
good
listen
night
to
with
you. I
you.
pay attention to you. Summer. I told you what I told you, and I respect you, girl.
Thank you, love you, brother.
Appreciate
You
it.
have a
know
good
how it
night.
is. Meet you on both sides. So if anybody could drop
Have a
the
good
link,
sleep,
thank
bro.
you very much. I'm waiting. I'm looking at the comments finally.
Yeah, I'm just waiting
That
for
shit
the
was
link
like-
so I could switch.
That shit was
over
like
to you
100 and
guys.
something. I'm like, damn, I ain't reading all this. Hold up. Come in, ma. It's locked? Are you shitting me? I ain't locking.
What's up, brother? How are you doing, Pat? Love you so much. Oh my goodness. What are you doing? My belly is horrible, worse than the head, bottom of my foot, lip, etc. Only spot that compares like certain parts of the rib cage. I'm telling you, listen, he did the man part, right? And he was like, do you want me to do the outline and then come back and do the shade on all of it? I said, no. I said, you have to do one word at a time. I said, because if you don't just finish that, I might tap out. I was scared that if I let him do the whole outline, I would just be like, all right, fuck it, I'll just do the outline.
Yeah, so,
So I
you did
made
half,
him-
one word at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, he did the outline and then he did all the shading and then he did the other word of the
Come on.
outline. 'Cause I was just scared.
If she get crazy on my side, just block them if you can.
Oh, they're
or
good.
do you
Everybody's
want me to
been
end it?
straight.
Do you want
Everybody's
me to
cool.
end
You
it?
can
'Cause
keep it right. You can keep it
I
running.
still need
That's
the
fine.
link. I still need
I
the
hope
link
so. I
before you
hope
go.
nobody disrespect you. If so, Maz on my side, please take care. Help Summer. Maz on my side,
everybody's
please help
cool.
Summer. If they get disrespectful, I'm gonna leave it running until she ends it, and that's about it. How about that? Because
That'll
I
work.
just
That's
see
fine.
nobody drop a link. So
Can
show
anyone?
some some love. I'm out of here. Calling it night. Bye, so baby. I love y'all. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Love
Oh,
you,
okay.
Easy.
All right. Good
Later, bro.
night. Did I
I'm
not
gonna
drop the
listen in
link?
though.
Okay.
Okay.
Later, bros.
He said he needs. I'm dropping the link. I thought I dropped the link. There's the link to the StreamYard. Somewhere around 700 hours of tattoos, belly rock still. I love my belly tat, and I feel like it pulls in like all of this together, and so it's kind of dope. But yo, that shit hurt like a motherfucker. And actually, I'm supposed to be going and getting so a tattoo. This guy is gonna do a piece on my coming down in between my breasts and going like right under my breasts and rib cage area,
Yes.
and that's gonna be in a tattoo magazine. Oh, I don't know about it now though, but I'm gonna do it still. But that shit's gonna
Yes.
hurt.
Yeah, they look mad. I like them ones. Yeah, you can get the. I don't know. I've seen the new tattoos that like they're doing just all dots, all dot 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 dot. Everything's just
Yeah.
a dot. There's no lines in it, and they look fucking wicked,
Mhm.
man. Like portraits, all different stuff. You know what I mean? Like all just dots.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Like. they're getting
Hey,
good, man.
how are you doing, sweet? Welcome back. Yeah, they are
Thank
good.
you.
Good.
Can you guys hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear
Yes.
you
Yeah,
great
brother.
now.
Okay, perfect. I have actually I wanted to ask you, going back to what you were talking about earlier. What are some of the things in the community? I'm assuming you help victims, right, or survivors? Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm a survivor of human trafficking, domestic violence, and
Mhm.
as sexual, a bunch of shit, right? And so I help a lot here in our community. And we've had a lot of our police department. So I live where Breonna Taylor got killed at. And so our police department is just a bag of dicks. Like we've went through 6 chiefs of police in a matter of 4 years. It's been horrible. And here our recent chief just resigned yesterday. And about 5 days ago, a bunch of lawsuits came out, right, on LMPD sex crime unit. And it was talking about how officers are having, like adult parties, pool parties, Christmas party, all these different parties. And officers are assaulting other officers. Well, last year, an advocate came to me because she went to a Christmas party thinking it was just a regular Christmas party because of the work that we do. Now, some advocates choose to work, kind of along with the police or whatever. And some of us do what our victims need us to do, right? And so she thought, hey, it's safe. I'm safe. I can go to a Christmas party. Not a big deal. You know what I mean? She never thought in a million years she would get assaulted. So when that finally happened, she came to me. We talked about it. I asked her what she wanted to do. At first, she wasn't sure. Then she finally came to me, and I told her, I said, I won't say anything until you decide what's to happen. So finally, she came and she said, us being advocates, we have to stand up to stuff like this, no matter how scary it is. So she says, let's go. So we go and we do all the things that you're supposed to do. Now, I understand that the court system's fucking botched. I understand the police department's botched, but it's the system that unfortunately we have right now, right? And so we go, we do the reports, all this different stuff happens, nothing's happening. We're getting harassed. I'm getting phone calls, keep it in house, because she finally says, because like nothing's happening. She's like, start speaking. So I start speaking. I have a pretty big platform in my community. And so people listen to me. And so a detective, every great now and then, I do believe there's people that are there that want to truly to change something. You know what I mean? And they can get ate up by this crooked fucking system that they work in, right? And Jason, he always, anytime I had victims or anything like that, he was just, he just, I don't know, man. It's just hard to explain. I trusted him. And so when all this shit was going on, he, kind of was like, what the fuck? Why aren't they getting help? Why aren't you guys doing anything? Why aren't y'all looking into this? Officer Pedigo is the one that did this. And so they started giving him pushback. Long story short, after harassing and doing a bunch of stupid shit, they ended up firing him, try to trash his name and all this other shit. So finally, some time goes by. Of course, I'm bumping my gums because that's what I do. And he finally decides he's going to do a whistleblower case lawsuit. And so he does that. So last Thanksgiving, and this is going on over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. So last Thanksgiving, we had a federal trial for Breonna Taylor. The same day I had that morning. Then the next day a couple hours later, I had to go to a victim impact statement for one of my protest brothers that was murdered. And then at 1 o'clock, I had to go into the courthouse and testify against the sex crime unit. And telling them, like, you know, how they were calling us, telling us we need to keep things in house, and how we got blackballed, how we, you know, couldn't get any kind of resources or help for victims or anything like this, right? You know, she goes in and testifies. She tells what happens. He ends up winning the case. Now, this happens last year. What pissed me off was, like, you know, all this shit came out, which we all knew this was going on, and we had been speaking on it because we're like, dude, you know, there's all kinds of shit that's happening in the sex crime unit. Like, people are not even understanding what the fuck is going on, and this is amongst officers. And so 5 days ago, a bunch of lawsuits came out. I have this stuff on my community page. People can go look at. But you know, it's a bunch of different lawsuits. You know, this officer and this, and these are all like sergeants and shit like that, and you know, they're not like just regular beat cops, detectives and shit. And so then the mayor comes on yesterday, and he's just like, you know, sitting, you know, at his podium, and he's just like, well, we're going to figure out a way to make sure people understand what sexual harassment is. You know what sexual harassment is. These officers know what sexual harassment is. You all knew these same fucking officers were involved in this shit because they sexual harassed an advocate. And that ain't the only person. There's been other women that have drove home from bars and came home from the hospital that are nurses and been pulled over, and shit like this has happened to them from these same officers. You know what I mean? And it's just a lot. And so, yeah, I've been speaking on it. I'm going to continue to speak on it. And I don't know, tonight I woke up today and it just fucked with me, you know, because it gets tiring and it gets frustrating, because you look at victims and they want help and they want justice. And you know that victims don't usually get the help. They usually get re-exploited. They usually, you know, become victim of the court or whatever again. And it's just, you know how it is. It's just frustrating. And I'm just having one of those frustrating days, I guess. So that's pretty much what is in a nutshell.
So I have another question. The cases that you attend or the people that you end up helping, how many of those cases actually lead to a conviction? If you can give me like, if you can round down like a percentage, or
I would say about 45% so far.
So if we round it down 50-50 then?
Yeah, 50-50.
Okay, so I'm assuming you've been in these trials from start to finish?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so what do you see in the cases that fall through? Like, what's different in it as opposed to the cases, a comparison of a person getting indicted as to a person not getting indicted? What's the difference in there that you've witnessed yourself?
So I will say that when there's actually like hardcore evidence, you know what I mean, like rape kits. I've been in a couple where children have been killed and different things like that. So there was evidence from all of that. So a lot of evidence probably was the biggest things. And then some of them were because, you know, well, I guess that would be chopped up in evidence as well, as far as text messages and videos and different things like that. I'd have to say that's probably the biggest thing. I have a lot. It's hard I see a lot of victims get seriously re-victimized in courts, which sometimes, you know, I don't know. It really sucks to watch.
What are some of the changes that you think could be made, at least on the state level where you're located, that will make things seem fair? Because from what I understand, at least in the state of New York, because a lot of my favorite trials typically end up having to be either homicide and sexual assaults, and particularly sexual assaults is because like I said earlier, it comes down to they spar with words. So it's whoever can pretty much weave a good enough story, depending whether it be the prosecutor or the defense attorney. So in places like New York City, what's interesting about New York City is because on the prosecutor side, they're pretty much given a manual. So I learned a long time ago, certain states allow prosecutors to infer, which defense attorneys don't have that same privilege, which I still don't quite understand 100% what that means. in a courtroom setting. The other thing that I've noticed is that, at least in New York State, the defense attorney, or at least the defense side, cannot bring up the victim's past sexual history. So, for example, if the person was, indulging in being promiscuous, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's, if you're of age, you're an adult woman. If you want to do whatever you want to do with another group of people, or whatever the case may be, you're allowed to, right? That's your inherent freedom here in America. So at least in New York City, from what I understand, it's a lot. Not that it's a lot harder. I'd say more victims here in the state typically have, not easier, but they have a fair chance at actually getting their their predators convicted, right? So in places like Texas, for example, Texas being like heavily like religious based, right? Like Western Christianity. The problems I see like in Texas when it comes to these cases is that somehow or some way the courts end up bringing like a religious ideology that's sort of cloaked in legality. So they'll say, for example, one of the biggest things, I think it was in Alabama, where if a person does sexually assault a woman and she gets pregnant, he does have the right to go see the kid. Obviously, a lot of people don't agree with that. Obviously, that's asinine to sit there and say, well, you're going to have the child, and you're going to give him custody, or you're going to give him visitation rights. I think the problem in most rape cases is that a part of the foundation is predominantly Western Christianity. It's really steeped in, at least like an archaic law where I think it was like passed before the 1950s, where women didn't have the right to vote. So most men in Texas typically view women as some sort of commodity or resource, for example. Examining all these cases that I've looked at, I don't think there's a solution that's going to be fair for either side, right? So on one hand, it's kind of like the whole gun debate, for example, when criminals are now having their rights restored, right? So the conundrum is, if a person goes to prison and they do the time, they should have their rights restored, right? Some people agree, some people disagree. But then you get towards the term, which is the most interesting term I've heard, which is, if they are a danger to society, why are we letting them out in prison? So as a person of belief, if I'm assuming not every sexual assault case is the same, right? So what I mean by that is that one person who decides to sexually assault might have something inherently wrong with them that kind of swings on the spectrum of, he's either mentally ill, there's something severely wrong with him, so he has to be treated differently than the average man that steps into that court that's accused of the same crime. So, for example, if a person inherently looks sane, he's a sane of mind, he's going to get treated differently than the predator who has like a host of problems. So at least, speaking on New York City politics, the way it is over here is that if the person somehow, all of a sudden, the person may not be deemed like mentally fit, and then they'll end up getting the short end of the stick. Meanwhile, the other person may or may not suffer repercussions. So I guess the question I'm trying to bear is, if nothing can be done ultimately, it's either we introduce policy, a new legislation, and the problem with that is that when it comes to political theater, people are going to start tweaking things in order to gain votes, right? So we don't want that. We don't want victims to be monetized, right? And that's not a right thing, whether it be on the male or female side of the spectrum, because both sides can experience sexual assault. And I think that's where I'm pretty much stumped for the most part when it comes to these cases, is because majority of cases we see online typically hinge on, if there's no text messages, there's no even if there's a rape kit, in my opinion, rape kits just define that two people had sex, right? So, or
That's not true. But go ahead.
That's
hold on.
I'm going to let you bring your medical expertise in just a minute.
No, I got you. So
go ahead.
Okay, so the rape kits prove two things. Either hardcore sex happened, because obviously there's a lot of internal trauma, right? Or sex just happened, right? So now on the second part, if the person does receive some sort of trauma in their lady parts, right? You would have to sort of make a case on how she got that, right? So she'll tell you, hey, I've got assaulted, right? It just falls on the courts between the prosecutor and the defense attorney pretty much to set the story, to set in stone or set in place a story that seems more probable to the juror. Now, one thing I've always said about these cases, and I had this conversation with a friend not too long ago, I would like to see AI being introduced or some type of computational system that can shift through cyber data. Now, the reason why now is much more different than before, past like the 60s, 70s, 80s, like someone mentioned here earlier, is that we now live in a techno society, right? So everything's connected. So everything you do, where you go, where you sleep, everything's tracked by your phone. Your phone can track altitude, can track all these, what position you are facing on this particular day. So one of the solutions I would like to see is that we use that computational data to shift through a lot of data and ultimately have AI make the decision and say, there's enough probable cause to move with this trial. So if there is enough probable cause, it just means that likely the data supports that this crime did occur, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the courtroom is not there to decide whether you're innocent or guilty. The courtroom is just there to decide probability of what may or may not happen, right? Real quick, it's like back then, right? Emmett Till was killed because he was accused of whistling at a woman that he passed by. Little did I know, he was also accused of rape, and look how that ended, right? So adding on at least the layer of security when it comes to who gets to decide, ultimately, who can be inherently unbiased, I would say would be a machine.
Yeah, I mean, something definitely needs to happen. That's for sure. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating because sometimes you just feel, I don't know.
I mean,
What were you going to say, Chris?
I'm sorry. It wasn't too long
No,
ago.
go ahead.
When the police, I forgot his name, the police officer that I think he raped like maybe 10 women. He got like a life sentence. Big brolic dude. Pretty much the way they played it out with him was perfect, which was just to retrieve all his electronic data when they got to him. So they obtained the warrant. They stripped everything of him before he had the opportunity to like do anything to it. And I think we have to take the same approach when it comes to rape cases. I think the best thing or the best burden of proof is, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, data does help, but when there's other culpable evidence that they put towards the court and forward to the court as well. You know what I'm saying? Like that guy had semen on the back seat of the car, on his pants, all of that sort of stuff. So, and the female's DNA. So there's lots of other, not just data. You can't just rely on data for it to be like.
I think it's the combination, right?
But that's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying
combination.
In cases where there's no, let's say, for example, organic evidence, right? So semen, any form of DNA, whether it be sweat, because obviously these things transfer onto like clothing material much more easily, right? So that you can transfer. If it's like the lawyer recently who got caught raping 4 women about 20 years ago. They only found out about him is because they retained his DNA. What ended up happening was one of his relatives ended up taking a DNA test. So what happens with DNA tests is that even if the person that did the rape doesn't go out and do a ancestry or one of those like popular over the counter like DNA tests, they can still triangulate based on certain features of that strand of DNA, and they could ultimately say, well, within this family tree, the person we're looking for exists here. So they can go to that. But what I'm saying is that in most cases, I'm going to assume, at least in the case of New York, a perfect scenario is there's DNA, there's a testimony, there's witnesses, etc. Now, the question I'm posing is, how do we deal with the cases that are much harder to convict because there's nothing to go by?
So we've had cases to where there was nothing but the electronic data, right? Whether it be emails, we've gotten people with emails, text messages they've done, and different things like that. And then a combination of
they're pinging.
Yeah, they're
where
pinging different things.
yeah.
There's a combination of all, not even just like emails and datas and stuff like that, but the pinging aspect. There's a lot of combination in the electronic aspect, and then then you do get lucky in some cases where it has the electronic stuff and it has the DNA and stuff like that. Like we have a particular case with a couple teachers right now, and everything that they did was, and that is one good thing, is that like you were saying, there's an electronic footprint everywhere you go, and most people, even people that are good at computers, like don't know how to like completely get rid of all of that, right? Because I don't, there's always going to be something there. And so I think the combination of both, and if there is no DNA stuff, yes, definitely strip all their electronics, find out their phones, their computers, their hard drives, all of that shit, grab all of that. Because there's been cases that's been prosecuted with just that. Matter of fact, we've done stings, and where a lot of times when you see these stings, especially Florida, sometimes, and Christine lives down there, so and it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere. In some cases, you'll see these stings where it'll be like 300 kids were rescued from trafficking, right?
We have it monthly.
Right, but exactly. That's why I always use Florida as an excuse, because they're always with the big billboards and blah blah blah, right? Well, I've actually been a part of some things like this, right? And so what happens a lot in these particular cases now, not saying that there's not children sometimes that are found, have been missing and things like that, and maybe got kind of, while they were doing the sting, they got lucky and maybe got a couple kids, right? But most of that stuff is the electronic aspect. It's the getting them to agree to things online, and having a decoy and all this other shit, you know what I mean? And so I think that the more and more I see in courtrooms, they are starting to lean towards doing the data, different type of data stuffs or whatever. I'm not good with
digital footprint.
Yeah, digital footprints. There you go. My brain's fucked right now, so excuse me.
Right.
But and that like we had one girl, she went missing. Well, she went to go sell her phone on Marketplace or whatever, and then in the process of doing this, she met a friend online. Everything happened online, you know what I mean, until they and so they groomed her and got her to trust and think she was going to go with her friend to go sell her phone, and come to find, and she walked right out of her house, good kid, never got in trouble, didn't do anything wrong, told her mom, oh, I'm going with a friend, and mom didn't think anything of it, you know what I'm saying, didn't realize she did this whole Marketplace thing or whatever. Sometimes things slip by parents. Good family, good child, walked straight out the fucking door. And, then that's when it became physical. Now we ended up finding her and everything, but it was all because of the digital footprint that they left behind, that we were able to get to that child and able to know where they were and where they were going and everything that was in the process of it. So I am seeing that the digital footprints type things. And I think that's kind of what he was talking about. Because sometimes there isn't DNA, unfortunately, there isn't marks, there isn't, you know what I mean, some shit just
and a pedophile isn't just somebody that just touches kids either. Like, you're grooming kids online, you're doing all that stuff online for a sexual favor, like for your own sexual gratification. You are a pedophile, and that's it. It doesn't have to be physical for these young girls and young boys to go and kill themselves and all that sort of stuff. Self-harm, fall to addiction, alcohol abuse, all of that sort of stuff. Just as much as like the physical stuff. These poor kids are copping it online, and there's a major, major, major problem, man. Like, fuck.
Oh shit! I think he.
I'd be doing that sort of stuff here. I'd be doing that sort of stuff here if it was legal. Like, it's illegal for us citizens to even do that. Like, it's putrid. I can't stand that law that they.
Well, and down here, like and then I'm gonna have Christine before I'm gonna say one more thing, and like Christine, because I do want her to jump in on the rape kit aspect. But I know, like, even down here, one of my survivor sisters, she literally had to go down, get people to do legislation, all this other shit, get a bill passed and everything, because we had over 15,000, I think it was, or something like that, rape kits sitting, and they weren't testing them. They kept saying they didn't have money for it and all this other shit. So, sometimes even in these cases that things are happening to Texas and shit, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not following through. So you have to, you you have to think of you got to think of all that different evidence that you can get, because sometimes it's just not in some cases. Christine, we were talking about the right kip earlier, and I know you had jumped in on a second. What's great about over here is we do have the medical experts around here, so I would like her to chime in on that.
So they have, and I'm sure anybody who's dealing with victim sexual abuse, rape, anything, sexual assault, is that as a certified SANE nurse, and SANE is a sexual assault nurse examiner, we have determined the higher incident of convictions are when we get these young men and young women, and they immediately go to the hospital or within the first 24 hours, not shower, not change their clothes. If they do change their clothes, we try to teach them, and we teach this at high school level, that they put them in a paper bag. Not only do we do a vaginal exam, check for, for semen, any types of bodily fluids, sometimes it's saliva we find. We take pictures of any bruising, any marks, any scrapes, anywhere on the body. At the same time, we have a victim advocate coming to our facility, because the sooner that you get them an advocate and the sooner you do this, the higher incident of conviction. The other thing that is great is that there are, and this is what's really concerning me about Louisville right now, they have sexual crime units. And those sexual crime units, normally when we have the patient, the victim in the facility, and we're dealing with them and we're building a trust. We are building a trust and a rapport. This is traumatic. We do not want to traumatize them again. We have one of those sex crime unit investigators at the facility, whether it's a car, a home, a garage, a parking lot. They're taking their pictures and collecting their samples. So we get all this together, and they take it to the DA. The DA puts the charges. In the meantime, the cops can't arrest you and hold you for that 72 hours. And every place I've worked, in the type of policy, procedure, and protocols we have, that is what they're doing. They are immediately arresting or detaining for the first 72 hours until everything gets put together. But here's the downfall. If you don't have a good crime unit, a sexual assault, a crime unit, everything's being dropped. It's being forgotten. All our nice little rape kits are sitting in paper bags, because everything has to be in a paper bag, sitting on a shelf somewhere because the ball got dropped. And then you have a victim who gets more scared as the time goes along. And if they have a good advocate to take them every step of the way, and that's why this is important for Summer's position, walking them every step of the way. A, to stop blaming themselves. B, to get rid of the suicidal ideations. And C, to get confidence in themselves that they can do this. So
honestly, and I'm just a pause for 2 seconds. Honestly, that is one of the biggest things, is when they have the right advocate next to them to be able to follow through and get them to go with them. That's the game changer on whether they get justice as well, right? Because
100.
The court system is not set up for victims, and it really does. The courtrooms really do re-victimize victims on even just the way it's set up, right?
Yes.
And so if they have a good advocate that will step by step walk with them and go through every court hearing, go through every single thing, even outside of the court, right? On those nights that nobody can fucking help,
in the morning. And that's right.
Right. They pick up that phone and all that kind of shit. And it helps build that confidence up, and especially in like what I'm a big on is survivor advocates, right? Because there's nobody in this world that'll understand, and unless you've been through it, you know what I mean? And when that's a different level and a different connection and a different power, to where you can look at them and you can say, I get it, I understand, and I promise you, it doesn't feel like you're gonna get through this, but we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna get through it together. And it's I always have a saying, we're doing life, like. I'm still in tons of the women's lives that I help with, you know what I mean? Like having babies, matter of fact, I'm being a wedding in a couple weeks, so, all right, just wanted to throw that. Yeah, I think the advocacy part
I have a
is very
question for
important.
Christine real quick. So I
Yes.
have two particular questions. So my first question is,
I'm gonna
Did you
switch
use-
phones, so I'm listening, but I just have to switch phones because this one's
Okay.
gonna die. So you
Okay,
guys
no
keep
problem.
doing your thing.
So, Christine, I have two questions, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
second one has to do with the kids, and then the first one's going to be, do you think that it is better for a sexual assault survivor to report the crime immediately, or do you think that it still serves the same benefit even if they wait weeks, months, or even years?
Well, you know as well as I do, the longer you wait, the lower the risk of a conviction.
Okay.
Unless there is electronic fingerprints they're able to follow. If this person is still contacting them, if this person is still, let's say, for example, they're stalking them, but you don't ever see them. But when push comes to shove and we can get the subpoenas, they can get the subpoenas. They can see the pings of where their phones are, get all that records. It continues on. They have stopped educating in our high schools, and that's where we used to do it. I used to teach a sexual assault class to our high school students, and it's explaining to them, this is nothing to be feared. This is nothing to be ashamed of. It is nothing that these threats are idle threats. There are people to help you. These are the steps you need to do. You want to report this immediately. If you can't, we understand, because sometimes they don't realize exactly what happened. Were they intoxicated? Intoxication, you cannot give informed consent. Were they drugged? Not remembering, you cannot give informed consent. Sometimes it could. We have noticed that the sooner they do it, the better. Waiting 24 hours is not going to be the game changer as long as we preserve evidence. And evidence means by the young child or young lady or teen or even an older woman, do not shower. Once they shower, it's kind of like game's over. So education in the beginning is really, really important. As time goes on and they sit there and they get dusty, they go into cold case files, nobody cares. And then you have these young men and women that have been sexually assaulted. They have been violated. They have been victims. Their perpetrator is still following them. They still feel threatened by it. They close up. They close up. They don't open up. They don't want to go no further because they didn't have the good advocacy either. That's going to kind of stalk them a little bit. I call it. They become a little stalkerish.
You gotta
But-
echo, easy.
I know I do. Always do when I come back up.
So they become a little stalkerish, but that is to the benefit because this trust that was built up, if they don't feel that this person who they built trust with in the first 24 hours isn't there anymore, they're not going to trust the system. So there's a whole lot of moving parts. It's very fluid at the entire time. But I think the ball gets dropped when the DAs don't do a lot about it. I think the ball gets dropped when these young men and women are lost at what to do because they haven't been educated. Oh my God, I've been raped, but it's my fault because I wore this dress, or it's my fault because I had a drink, or, that's what happens. So they live with this fear. It's their fault. And people are going to look at them as they should be ashamed of yourself. And even Summer could voice that when she has been testifying for other things, they try to go after Summer by the way she dresses, or by the way she talks, or by the way she has tattoos. They try to discredit. And that's where the advocacy comes into play, where you build this trust up, and this trust is so good with rapport. Now, if you want to go back to children, here we go. There are advocates
No,
in the
we're
court.
not going that way.
Hold
We're not
on,
going
no,
to
hold
kids.
on.
Leave the
Okay,
Easy,
kids
hold on,
no,
alone.
hold on.
hold on,
Well-
easy. No, you gotta let them have this conversation.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
Christine,
easy. We're
go
good.
ahead.
When
Just
there's
one more.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, no, go ahead, sweetheart, because I don't want you to lose your train of thought on those
Okay,
questions.
so my next question sort of ties up to this. The second question, I think someone mentioned it. I think her name was KT, which is I'm assuming she lives in New
KT.
York because
Uh-huh.
I think we've had this happen over here. What about the cases where okay, so the NYPD has been known to sort of store all the data they
Right.
received from rape kits, right? So they'll store them away. So what we ended up finding out was that by law, cops cannot touch these samples unless the victim signs over the rights of the samples, right?
Correct.
So in cases where, let's say, for example, I don't know how it goes, at least in the police department, if they call them like once a week, once a month, and say, hey, you know, would you still like to pursue this? I don't know if the state would be able to take over, which is a good question I'd probably look into. But in cases where women typically don't sign over those rights, then what prospect does that offer to the survivors? Would that actually be a benefit? Would that be a negative?
So here's the thing. Once these rape kits are done, we do tell, and I've worked in Missouri, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Florida. Okay, so I've worked throughout different states. So, and they all kind of run the same. I know throughout the years, the different states have increased things, but with that consent, at the time that we all do all our, you know, examination, collecting of evidence, packing it away, labeling it, double labeling it, lock it so that you know that it's taken care of and it's not going to be tampered with. There is another form, and this is where the advocacies come into good play. This form is not only explained by what the SANE nurse is doing, this form is also explained by the advocacy, and that trust is built up. I believe that in most states, you're right, the cops cannot touch them, and a victim could be feeling like they're being terrorized, victimized by a cop calling there. But that's where I talked about this crime, is the sexual crime units. Again, there's another piece in that puzzle in building trust. So by the time that advocacy and that victim and then the crime unit person gets involved, they've built enough trust up. There's the form. They'll sign the form, and the form in most facilities, there's double forms. They put a sticker on it that consent is signed, and then there's the consent. I think it's to the advantage that we work with them, because, you know, they can sign the consent, and at any time, just like any other piece of paper, you can pull that consent back. But I think the longer you wait to sign that consent, then there's a problem. And I will also tell you,
they take advantage of all that though. And
Pardon
you know
me?
that.
But
I said
that's
they
why
take
it's
advantage of-
important. But Easy, that's why it's important to have a really good advocate, because the
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if it, you know, it's like having, some people say it's like having a lawyer, you know what I mean? Like but an advocate obviously isn't a lawyer. We don't work in the criminal system. I'm not a representative of them at all. I'm there for the victim, right? And so I've
What
noticed
happens to
that,
the advocate most of the time? The alibi or advocate, what happens? Disappear, grave. Oh, now you can't defend yourself. They lock you up.
right? Well, not here with me, because and this is why I take what I do very seriously, right? And I've noticed that when victims don't have advocates, and especially if they have advocates, if they do have an advocate and that advocate is half-assing things, they won't understand things. They may not, you know, I mean, there's still things in the courtroom I don't understand, you know what I mean? And luckily I have tons of people I can be like, hey, what's this, you know? But I've gotten a down path, right? And so to be able to understand, and a lot of people be like, oh, Summer, you know, like how I talk, how I dress, how I look. I do all of that to stay relatable to the people that I'm helping. I don't give a fuck what a counselor or a mayor or a cop or a fucking judge thinks of me. I don't give a shit. Honestly, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks of me. The only people I care what thinks of me is that victim I'm sitting there with. And if I can relate to them, if they can feel like, hey, this person's not above me, you know, this chick's got tattoos, you know, she curses, she's not all like politically correct. You know what I mean? I can relate to her. I can understand her. I can, you know, and she's a survivor. You know what I mean? So like I have tons of people that, and to the point sometimes I'm like, I'm glad I have other advocates. You know, we have other good advocates that are survivor leaders. Because ones that don't have it, they don't understand and they get tired. The fight is hard. That fight is hard. And you can walk in a courtroom every single time, even when I'm testifying. And what Christine was talking about a minute ago is when I went in to testify against the sex crime unit, I shook the whole time. You know what I mean? But like I was very on point with what the fuck I said. And I meant every word I said. You know what I mean? Yeah, I may not say it the proper way or the way you want me to say it, but you know what I'm saying. And they did. They try to discredit me. I've gotten awards from all over my state for the work that I do. I don't go and ask them to give me fucking awards. These people have given me this because of the work that I do. I'm good at what I do, and I don't half-ass what I do. You know what I mean? And so it's just, we need more. I think that is a very important role in New York and Chicago and Kentucky, anywhere we are, Australia, is having, and same thing with men, like, because there's men victims as well. You know what I mean? Like, we need men advocates. So those men, I've had young boys or men that have had things happen to them, and luckily I've been able to advocate for them. But there's been times where I've was like, listen, I think one of my survivor brothers that are advocates will do way better. You know what I mean? Because they can relate, and a man can, they can just open up in a different way in some situations. So I just really, advocacy is a huge part of getting justice, because you got to have somebody that's on your side, because they say they're on their side. But come on, man. Even the way the courtroom. So we have here so he was the attorney general at the time. Now he's the governor, Andy Bashir. One thing that he did do that hadn't really been done ever in our state for sure was he made a council down in Frankfurt. Frankfurt's where all, capital and all that shit is. And he picked survivors got nominated by the community and different things like that. And then if you got approved, you got to sit on this council. And I was on for the second year. And it was right when the pandemic and all that shit happened. But one of the things that we were supposed to do was actually courtrooms, was trying to see how we could get them more victim centered and still have, everybody has their rights, right? Because even the way it's designed, like the perpetrator, yes, by law, they're allowed to face their accuser and different things like that. I mean, it just, the courtroom's it's just set up to re-victimize people again, unless you're the predator. And so we wanted to sit down and have discussions about that, because that was something that we're trying to take serious. But unfortunately, the pandemic happened and shit, and yeah, it didn't happen.
Okay, so I have an interesting question I want to pose to you, if I may, and I don't mean to take up a lot of anyone's time. If anyone wants to interject,
I think it's a good conversation.
Okay,
take up all the time in the world.
Allow me to let me rethink this. So allow me to play. Okay, so do you believe, right? So this might be a two-parter. Do you believe that the court of public opinion has something to do with how? Because remember, we step into court of law. More than likely, it's going to be a trial by juries, right? So it's not typically, more times than not. I don't think I've never seen a rape case where the person that makes the final determination is the judge, right? So it's typically left to 12 jurors, right? So do you think that in current modern time, specifically that New York City has extended a window for about maybe 2 years, and I think it already ended in September, where sexual assault victims could step forward and file something in the courts that would then have their cases heard? Do you think that when we look at the societal dynamics of all these celebrities getting caught in something, whether it be a man or a woman? So, for example, the more predominant case, I guess it's still ongoing, would be like, for example, a P. Diddy, right? So Cassie said this happened, right? There's video evidence to support the physical abuse, right? Because it's on recording of him beating her. Now, when that thing came out, when this issue first came out, it came out in the form of P. Diddy settled, and he extended the $30 million in order for her to not obviously come out with his book and write about it, right? So the public perception on one side is, well, if this really happened, why would you attack this in a civil court when, number one, first-degree sexual assault has no statute of limitations, right? So most blue states have no statute of limitations on first degree. They do have a statute of limitations for second degree and third degree. I think second degree would be somewhere around 20 years, and I think third degree somewhere around 15 to 10 years, right? So do you think that when the public starts to eat up all this information and people start taking sides, do you think that ultimately puts a dent to authentic victims that are going through the court process.
Okay, I'd like to say something I think is really,
Yeah,
really
go ahead.
important here. I understand what you're saying, and this is a reality versus non-reality in my mind. When we're going to talk for cases, example, and I understand P. Diddy's is an important one. Okay, I understand his previous one that he settled with, and I understand it was civil, and the ones that are going to be coming up. They are not relatable to somebody like me, who's an average person living in an average world. It's hard. It's so hard to, when you talk about that, to compare the two.
Fair, but not fair. Fair, but
Okay.
not fair. Hold on. Let me interject real quick. I'm so sorry.
Go
Summer.
ahead.
Let me interject before I lose my train of
Go
thought because I
ahead.
smoke too much pot. Yeah, I like my train of thoughts disappear.
You're good.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so I do agree. However, what I'm trying to explain here is that oftentimes these celebrity cases will often determine cases that
Correct.
typically average people deal with, because it sets a legal precedence so then a judge can go and say, well, I'm stuck in this conundrum. Let me revisit, let's say, for example, Cassie
Case
versus
law,
P. Diddy,
right.
right? So it's
Case
sort of
law.
like, we want to, I would say the what would be fair is that let's not allow celebrities, because it's a much more intricate case, right? You have high degree lawyers there. You have probably just as high degree prosecutors there. They're both probably masters at their trades. It's much more different, like the average, sexual assault, where you hire a lawyer and the prosecutor shows up, and it's all based on, the percentage of okay, does this favor me if I can get a conviction? My second question, real quick, I wanted to throw out is for Summer. One half of it is that, would you think it's fair to say that police departments need to get audited? And the reason why I'm saying this in regards to sexual assault cases is because, going back to what I said originally, if there's no police report written, it's not codified. So the number of sexual assaults done by cops could be a lot higher, but we wouldn't know because an audit hasn't been done.
Yes, I 150 billion% believe that they should be audited. Because I think that, I mean, come on, let's face it. We all understand that they're really good at covering stuff up. And as the key slogan for the fucking year is, keep it in house, right? And they investigate themselves, right? And if there's something that they may be involved in one way or another, even if it's a civilian, right? Like, they're gonna bury it, they're gonna hide it, they're not gonna report it. If there's, like in my situation, like I had something that was being played out in the public, like it was all public, or whatever. It was pretty fucking, it was really bad. But there were officers that weren't, because of me speaking up and doing the things that I do, I would call and make police reports, right? Because I had to. It was a part of to keep up, like, my IPO and all this different stuff, is to report when things were happening. And they wouldn't take my police reports. They wouldn't do shit. So yeah, 100%. If they're, if it's either a cop that's doing something, or if it's a cop that has a problem with somebody that has had something done to them, they're not reporting every single thing, so we may never hear about it. So yeah, I do believe they should be 100% audited. And now what I'll say about the P. Diddy thing is, and I get what Christine, I 100% get what you're saying. I don't know. I guess,
and I get there's another aspect, because with P. Diddy, more people that have been victims are coming forward.
Right. And not even that, but like even on a regular, in your town situation, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even have to be on a big scale of P. Diddy. The local two local known people in a town or whatever, or just the story, depending on how the news puts something out there, if they put something out there, or depending on how people attached to the case, maybe to the people attached to the case, maybe talk about it or whatever. And sometimes that, the rumors and shit like that will make a scene. But should never make a decision on whether, because if there's evidence and there's this and there's that, the public opinion, that shouldn't have been the law.
Right.
Oh no. So when I brought up, I'm sorry for cutting you off, Christine. When I brought up the court of public opinion, it's because when it's a court case that relies on 12 citizens
Right.
to determine, right? If there's a lot of trials to pick out from, so I'm
Well,
not going to drag it on,
and
but
not to interrupt you, I'm just pause you for a second. I get that aspect because, like with the Breonna Taylor stuff, dude, they had to pick out. You know, they're supposed to get all the jury selection. And this is what I think more people should start understanding the jury selection and all that. And I'm glad we're kind of having this a little bit conversation because there was so much. I mean, Breonna Taylor's case was worldwide. Everybody talked about it. Whatever, you know, and the police department, which has been said in the federal trial, purposely smeared this woman's name, and so there was either. So you know how, I mean, we got a mistrial. There was everybody went guilty except for one. And yes, I believe it had to do with because of public opinion, and it fucking sucks because these people are guilty. But now we have to go to court again. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I would have lost that one.
oh no, you're good, you're good.
So it's just, I don't know, man. It's just so frustrating.
The frustration that I see with most of these cases is that ultimately it relies on 12 different individuals, and the problem with having 12 individuals is that in modern times everyone's connected, so it's hard for someone, for example, depending on the case, if it's a high profile case, it gets a lot more dangerous because obviously it's harder to shy away from like wanting to take a peek at information you shouldn't have to take a look at, because the judge will tell you specifically, hey, when you go home, don't turn on the news, don't look at this, don't look at that, put down Facebook, don't talk about it, right?
Right.
And I think, again, originally when I said, when you start putting a combination of people, whether they be ultra religious on one side of the spectrum, and then you have kind of like your grannies and your granddads that kind of like have this like old school mentality where it kind of stunts or maybe stalls how a decision ends up, you know, affecting the case ultimately when they decide whether he's guilty or not, or he or she is guilty or not.
Right.
I think that when it comes to these cases specifically, for whatever reason, it starts a fire, and it tends to end up, depending if it's a high profile case. So if we look at like Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp, which wasn't a sexual assault case, but
Right.
if you remember during that case,
It was an abuse case.
it was abuse
Yeah.
case. Not because I don't want to use the R word. I'm trying to refer. I'm
Right.
trying to use the
No, you're good.
legal
You're good.
sexual assault. So when it came to the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case, we started to see that there was this paradigm
Yep.
of two groups of people, right? So
Yep.
obviously a lot of women took one side, a lot of men took another side, and then you'd have like a combination of a mixture of both that kind of like huddled up into a corner. So I don't know if average cases get televised. So I don't know if that would play a role in average cases. But what I'm ultimately trying to say is that when you have 12 jurors that are independent and their personalities are just as fluid and dynamic from one another, I think that's part of the problem when people can't put their biases aside and just make a determination based on whatever evidence they have in front of them.
Until I became, like, we see national cases, right? We see, you know, whatever case. I'm going to use the Breonna Taylor, but even before her, like, I've seen tons of national cases, and you watch them from afar, you follow them. If you're, you know, if you like to research and shit, you dig, you do all that, whatever. But I'll tell you what, when you actually, because I was a neighbor, I actually testified in the grand jury. They used my, because you don't testify in a grand jury. They used my statement in the grand jury of that case because I lived in this. We all lived right there. Anyway, I never realized like how crazy it got, right? And you're 100% correct, because even when they tell them don't watch Facebook, don't watch the news, blah blah blah, right? Well, look how long that with this one, all this stuff went on before we even got to the trial. We just did the trial, in which we have to redo it because it was a mistrial on just one of the officers. We're still waiting for 4 other officers that are facing life in prison. Still ain't got a court date for that. Just talked to Tamika today. Anyway, by the time we got there, which was Thanksgiving week, you know, I think it still went on for 2 weeks. It ended, you know, came to the mistrial on Thanksgiving week, and you know, the judge came back and we kept getting called to the courtroom, and she was like, they're actually arguing. They were actually like ready to fist fight. So she was like, I'm not sending them. She sent them back once, but she's like, I'm not sending them back again. We can't do it. And that right there just goes to show exactly what you're saying, actually. And I'm long-winded, but you know what I mean? Because I wholeheartedly believe that one person, because now after all these cops, these chiefs, all these people came in and said, we should have never been there. It was our fault. Hankinson overshot in the apartment, yada, 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 showed all this. This one person was still like, nah, fuck that. And I believe it was because of the public opinion aspect of it. And we talked about that because I guess it's I've never dealt with any like national level type of stuff. And so it's just like, I never understood. I mean, I've always understood, yeah, jury stuff is important, but at the same time, there's always that bias. There could be that bias aspect of it. And that's the part that fucking sucks.
I do definitely agree with you. I think, okay, so my next question would be, do you think?
No, one sec. All right, Tom, I got to cruise. I got to get a few things done. All right, darling. See you later. Be good.
Bye, honey.
I'm glad you came back. Love you.
Have a good night.
Good conversation. I love it.
Yeah, it's a good convo tonight. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, what were you saying?
Okay, so would you say, so I'm going to pose a question in terms of preventive measures. So I don't think in a way you guys are expecting. Do you think that if we taught or we funded more sex education or certain classes that tailored to, let's say, for example, consent? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it seems like looking at like specifically New York City, because I can only talk about the experiences personally that I've seen here. But it seems to me that the dynamics between young teens, whether it be a boy or a girl, seems to be like neither side really understands like what consent is, right? So do you propose that maybe at a younger age we start teaching both sides a more like structured class where it's a mixture of sex education and certain type of legalities of, hey, if a person says they don't want to be touched, you shouldn't touch them. These are the consequences.
Kind of life lesson in sex ed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I'm going to throw in here, in the like 2004 to 2010, I was community health nurse, and I myself and a group of us got certified and went into the schools starting freshman year, and we wanted to take it into the middle schools, but the cities were against it because they didn't feel we should be talking to children under 12 regarding some of the things, but we could have adapted it to a younger age group. But what we did go in and explain what informed consent was. And that's where I brought in alcohol, the having the drink, having the drugs, the peer pressure. Those are the things that we taught them about. We taught them about what is a sexual assault.
Yeah.
And we did little things with it, and I would make it fun. I would take my syringes filled with water every day to get their attention when it looked like they were getting bored, and I'd just shoot a syringe of water at them. So we made it fun while we did it. But no, I think go ahead.
No, go ahead. My bad.
I was going to say, I think at a younger age, we start educating our youth, and boys and girls, because just a quick little synopsis. I went through with a 12-year-old boy who was molested by an adult female, and that's unheard of according to our DAs. But it was a struggle.
Wow.
So it's boys and girls. And this boy, his predator ended up going to prison, registered sex offender. She did get out. She has to register. But in the meantime, this boy, and this is where there's huge issues and another downfall, and this is where if an advocate was involved, it probably wouldn't have been such a downfall. This person went to prison. This child, and he was a child, felt the guilt and would start sneaking alcohol, started popping pills out of any pill bottle he could find. and almost lost his life to suicide.
Right.
And so, I think that, I don't need to go in and tell you, a penis goes here, a vagina's here. I'm not going to do that, but I do want them to be aware their body is their body, and no means no.
Right. So I believe, because I do a lot of work with youth, and I see a lot of children. I 100% believe that sex ed should be taught, and I think it should be taught in middle school. One thing I think parents need to understand is the world we live in is completely different from what they live in, right?
Yep.
I do believe there is age-appropriate ways of teaching things,
Mhm.
and I think it should be done because some children can't talk to their family about certain things, right? And what the last thing you want doing is other uneducated kids trying to educate your child on what the hell the birds and the bees are, right? And the fact that the birds and the bees, like, we don't even live in a generation where these children want to, like, birds and the bees. What are you talking about? Like, these
Yeah.
kids know what it is, especially by the second year of middle school. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, these kids are not being taught. They don't understand. They don't understand what, you're not supposed to touch, and you're not without permission and all this other shit, because it's a free for all, because either they're not being taught the right way, they're not having the right kind of conversations, and they're teaching each other, and they're learning off fucking TV and videos and whatever, the internet or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and so we have to, and this starts with the adults, in my opinion. We have to understand that, like, even me, I'm 45, like, that's not old, you know what I mean? But, like, still, it's not even like when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like, things have changed a lot. We did not have the internet like that. So these children have the internet, and there's so many different things and so many different obstacles that are coming to our children, and we live in a sexualized fucking world. You know what I mean? Like, to sit here and act like that it's not happening or whatever. And educating your child is not saying that you're giving your child permission to go have sex. It's just saying, hey.
Amen to that.
Okay. Yeah. It's not saying, hey, I'm gonna let you go, you have permission, because first of all, I mean, did your parents know when you had sex? So why not educate your children? A lot of parents live in this fucking old-minded fucking way of thinking, and it's like, look, I'm okay, fine. I get that you walked in the fucking snow 10 miles up a goddamn hill, but guess what? This is a digital fucking world, and there's a lot of people betting on you to stay in your old ways and not fucking open your mind up and listen to your kids. Lack of communication in homes is a huge fucking problem.
And that's a huge part of the problem, because you know why? We're not going to change that mind frame of that type of parent, but we can educate their children, and we can do it in not sexualizing anybody. It is a protection. It is a safeguard to protect your body, your mind, your soul.
Yeah, man, it's just you have to teach them, and if knowledge is power, education is everything. You know what I mean? And so it's just, we have to, like I said, these babies have so much different things coming at them. I mean, dude, we have teenagers out here fucking killing each other at a high rate speed in my fucking city. Like, you know what I mean? We got babies having babies. This ain't nothing new. It's just been going on for a minute. So, like, we got to stop acting like, and okay, cool, your kid's not doing it. Okay, fine. But guess what? Her friends that she hangs out with, or his friends at school, or the Google search in the school library, or, I mean, like, don't let everybody else influence and teach your children. Teach your babies.
And if not, then that's where the school comes into play.
Well, yeah, and well, it takes both, because you need to allow them to do this in school, and yes, school can be done age appropriate. I've been to parent-teacher conferences, or not parent-teacher conferences. I'm sorry, not that. But those are important too. Take your asses to them.
I take my asses to them.
Okay. I've been to career day, you know what I mean? Like, and as an advocate, talking about my job, and there's ways I can talk about what I'm doing to these children that is age appropriate. You know what I mean? People get so fucking shocked and like, oh my God, the world's gonna fucking end. You're worried about your kids probably already watching fucking porn. Like, come on, dude, stop fucking playing. You don't know everything your kids are doing. I can promise you, you do not. I don't give a fuck. Every parent's like, I know. No, the fuck you don't. No, you don't. Well, I can promise you don't.
And here's the thing, even this I firmly believe it is a parent's responsibility, but there needs to be a backup. You will notice the
Yeah, that's
younger the
why it's
children,
important for the school.
right, and the younger the children are, and if you've ever had a 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old have to be, who has turned out to be a victim, who now has to go up and speak in court, which they've really tried stopping that with the advocates of these children. But the problem is, so many back in the 1990s, early 2000s, and before, if these children didn't know the proper terminology for their body parts, my hoo ha,
Oh yeah,
if the cases
or your
got thrown
cookie or
out.
your pocketbook, right?
Yeah, the cases got thrown out. And that's another huge thing. I know one of my sons, when he was in first or second grade, he got suspended from school. And I went into school like, for what? He is in there telling that girl that he has a penis and she has a vagina. I said, okay. She goes, well, that's inappropriate talk in a classroom. I said, how is that inappropriate talk? Those are proper anatomical body parts. That's what my children are taught. So, no, we're not taking the suspension. You
We
need to come into this situation of life, and these kids need to know their body parts.
Right. We've had situations where children were getting assaulted and stuff. And they were telling people like stuff, about their pocketbook and stuff. And people they didn't realize what was going on. And it's
Yeah.
like it's very important to teach your children the proper names of their body parts. Again, this is not sexualizing your children. This is not any of that.
No.
And it amazes me in 2024 just the lack of conversation that still happens in households, and that's something that's very important, dude, because I promise you that if you ain't talking to your kids, the streets will. They waiting for you
Well-
not to talk to your babies. I
Well,
promise you.
You know I'm old. You know this. I'm 60 years old. I should have that old way of thinking, but I don't. Even with my grandchildren, they're taught the proper
That's
body
because
parts.
you're a fucking ER nurse, so you see real
Well,
life.
plus I've dealt with real life kids that have been
Right.
victims and re-victimized by the court system, re-victimized by these child psychiatrists. They're evaluating if their brain is okay and are they telling the truth? Why are they lying to you? Their stories haven't changed.
And actually,
So-
Grace, Planned Parenthood does not just do abortions and stuff. They actually have some amazing age-appropriate sex education for young people.
Absolutely.
So I know people get caught up, but Planned Parenthood is a really good resource for women that don't have a whole lot of money and may need birth control or just checkups. A friend of mine that's the whole, she couldn't afford regular doctors and she went there, and that's how she found out she had uterine cancer. So I mean, Planned Parenthood does I get some people don't agree with abortions. I do. I think a woman should have a choice to her body, but yeah, like Planned Parenthood actually has a really amazing age appropriate, at least the one that I've seen. I'll say that. Let me just say that.
I'm sorry. I would like to add real quick. So Grace said earlier that we should, not we, but in the context of the conversation,
Right.
that our parents, that the schools, or I'm assuming the parents, I can't look it up because if I touch this cable, I'm going to get kicked out of the room because the microphone's on disconnect. But from what I remember, and I'm kind of high right now, so I do apologize.
I'm gonna look up, so I'll see.
Yeah. So, a good example would be when the whole LGBT thing popped up in school. I want to say maybe just like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when the whole trans thing,
Yeah.
gay thing came into place, and they were saying, "Well,
And I live in Florida, so you know something that's been a struggle down here. I'm just telling you.
So, okay, so I think that if, like as Summer was stating earlier, in places like Chicago, Alabama, Mississippi, you have 13, 12, like you have kids as young as 12 carrying on a Glock with a switch, with a high capacity magazine, right? That's just the reality of it, right? So I think us as a society, having grown kids actually commit these heinous crimes. I think we're past the point of, well, we have to be soft with the kids, or we have to let the parents do it, right? And the reason why we should ignore these things is because I think society has gotten to a point, at least we failed, at least the state itself or the
Correct.
government itself had failed the children already, right? So I think we're past that point. And I think the best medicine for these situations is a sort of direct intervention. Just because we've seen parents, like, for example, when it came to the trans things, there's a lot of things that could be said there. Obviously, there's some things that are fact and there's some things that are fiction. But ultimately, what gave me, which opened my eyes, typically was predominantly a lot of religious parents wanted to impose and say, well, it should be my right, it should be this, it should be that. If you're not doing it at home and you refuse to let the education system do their job, but then we don't have a problem arguing whether or not we want to post up a 10 commandments in school districts, and we don't have a problem with the abolishment of separation of state and church. So I think the proper thing to do nowadays when it comes to situations with these children, them going from prepubescent all the way to adulthood, is that I think we shouldn't care about what the parents feel, because if we have a Department of Education and their job is to educate our children, I think no topic should be too sacred, as long as the verbiage is calm enough, right? Non-triggering, for example.
Right, it's got to be safe.
We gotta be safe.
Yeah, it's
So,
gotta be safe and age appropriate, 100%.
Mhm.
but like it's like Christine was saying, right? Parents are now getting upset with if you say vaginal, vagina, if you say penis, penile. That's
Right.
so all of a sudden, oh, I don't like my children hearing those words. But meanwhile, the parents will give them a tablet, unrestricted access to internet, the 3D
They're probably
printer.
like a whole lot
Make it make
worse,
sense,
too.
right?
Yeah, it's like you're pretty much like it's the opposite. It's a contradiction. Now, I have he's now 12, right? I have a smart young man who's a son. He's 12 years old. He lives in Massachusetts with his mom and stepdad. Kid ended up whatchamacallit, he ended up being the winner of math in the state, right? So I always
Okay.
think like, this kid came out like his father. I always throw out a joke that I only breed geniuses. I don't mean it. It's just something I like to tout about because, my kid has high aspirations. But besides that, from what she tells me at the time of what I'm observing is that the kid ended up being a good kid, very polite, knew his do's and don'ts. And I think, obviously, a big part of this, if it's meant to be an impact, has to come from the family structure.
Right. So Mater has a question. He says, when a mother allows a 17-year-old to sleep with her 15-year-old daughter, shouldn't she be held accountable?
Depends on the state.
What were you gonna say?
No, I said it. I threw my answer. I think it depends on the state.
Yeah.
Because remember, I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, California has an age of consent of 18. Some states have adopted, I think Alabama, Mississippi has as young as 12, if I'm not mistaken. Other places are 16. And there's also Romeo and Juliet laws we have to take into account. If that 17-year-old, he could be 18, known the girl before the age of 18,
Right.
but he got pushed back a grade or two, and then you have to take into account for the Romeo and Juliet laws.
Right. And so because I don't know the whole situation, I agree. Like it's 15 and 17, why, I would hope 15 and 17-year-olds aren't sleeping with each other. You know what I mean? But realistically, again, because we live in reality, I don't know what somebody's term is allowing, right? Because a 15 and 17-year-old, if they want to, especially if they're already having sex, they're gonna do things, and regardless if somebody wants them to do it or not, right? And so I don't want to completely comment on a personal situation because I don't really know the situation and give an honest answer on that. But I would say that I would hope that the adults around them that know that they're having sex are making sure she's on birth control, making sure they're getting regular STD tests, teaching them about safe sex, healthy sex, because unfortunately, again, we live in a society that, and especially in a situation like that, most kids that start having sex, they're not going to stop. You know what I mean? So you need to educate them. You need to get, you know what I mean? Just we need more education, because the fact that people think they can stop, nobody could stop us when we were children doing what we wanted to do, whether it was right or wrong. I did a lot of shit that I shouldn't have done. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. I'm sure a lot of people can say that. So, and there's a lot of shit my parents had no clue about. So we just, we have to start making it to where the kids can come talk to the parents and they do have a clue about it and they can guide them, because you can't force anybody or stop anybody from doing anything. Helicopter parenting never works.
Just to answer, so Mater, I just also want to say this as well. The only circumstances where, for example, parents are held liable is a pretty unique case that happened recently. It had to do with, I was assuming he was a school shooter. What ended up
Yeah.
happening was he was begging his parents to take his guns away, right? Because he obviously needed help. So the kid recognized himself that he needed to go see a psychologist. What ended up happening was that instead of his parents, taking his guns away and getting him some help, what they ended up doing was they ended up buying him more weapons. And that was probably the only example we probably have in modern times of parents being held accountable for the most part. But in the case of the 17-year-old dealing with the 15-year-old, I find that insane that the 17-year-old had his life ruined, because 17 is still under the age of 18. So more than likely,
Most states don't usually, like, you know what I mean? Unless it's like a forced situation or something like that, then yeah, I can get in trouble. But like a relationship, most states won't even bother with that.
so,
No.
I mean, some
Age
states
of
like
consent.
Consensual, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's consent. That's what I'm saying. It's consensual and everything like that. They're both 17 and 15.
yes, I mean, so if they were, for example, like a federal age limit, which I think they should be, I think there should be a federal age of consent. I had this conversation. Well, I have a lot of numerous debates on debate panels, but there was a particular case, a particular conversation where I wasn't unaware, but there's certain states in America where older gentlemen could go marry, like, let's say, a 15 to 14-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and this, I found this,
We were one of those states until we
yo,
changed.
I found it crazy, because what he said next kind of like struck me. I was like, I never knew this was a thing. He goes, so when they get married, she's allowed to move in with him. However, I don't know if it's CPS or the state requires her to have her own room. Now, I chimed in and said, if he's marrying that little girl and that little girl is in his household, it is ignorant to assume that
Right.
he will not touch her.
Right.
Right? It's common sense, right? It's just us as a society, we understand
Well,
that.
we just actually, in the last couple of years, again, another survivor sister of mine, she's a survivor of child marriage, right? And she actually got it to where now it is illegal to marry children, because up until not that long ago, it was still okay to marry kids in Kentucky. So that's what
Mater,
I'm working.
could you tell us what state this was in by chance?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Mater. So, what is the consent of your state? Because the only thing I could think of, and now unless I've seen some situations where a parent didn't want two people dating. Now not necessarily that my guy was bad or anything like that. They was just like, nope, you ain't dating my daughter. Yada yada.
Oh, it's 16. That's why.
Oh, okay. That's what
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Would-
And they were 15 and the person was 17. Because
would you happen to know, Mater? I'm sorry for cutting you off, so would you happen
you're
to
good.
know if they were both in the same school at the time?
California has none.
18. California's age of consent is 18.
Okay, thank you. Because I was about to be like, wait, what?
Over there, they can't. If let's say, for example, a grown man is caught talking to a little girl, and they can prove intention, they can just indict you just on the intentions itself. I think it's only exclusive to California.
Oh, okay.
Mater, were they both a part of the same school at the time of the incident, or did they ever go to school together? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna assume the reason why they actually they took it to trial. Did the 17-year-old ended up talking to cops without having his lawyer present? so I have this particular interesting story that I've heard. I don't. I'm gonna share it with you. So I'm not gonna give no names.
Okay.
So I used to play the game called WoW, and I was in charge of like I had a guild. I had over like a couple of hundred members. One of my members was pregnant. She was like a pretty young parent. She was 18, and her husband was like 19, a year older, and his stepsister, somehow the mother accused her own son that he touched his sister. Now, when they got him into the interrogation room, they did not convict him on for example, they didn't take him to trial over the original, what they were there to investigate. What ended up happening was the child being 14 at the time, he misconstrued touching as sexual touching. So, for what I understand, he might have done something that was innocent, but because his mom convinced them that he did it in another manner, they convicted him on something that was done prior that was never brought out in court. So, and yes, so they pinned them on. They didn't pin them on the original charge, like what they were there for. They pinned them on something that happened long ago, right? So, which is, I at the end of the day, I still don't know whether he did or didn't. But based on what his side of the story he gave me, I don't have no access to the court documents. It seemed that way. Now, if the 17 and 15-year-old was under the same roof, I would like to think that the parents should be held liable, yes, or at least warrant kind of like an aggressive approach by CPS at the very least.
Right. And Mater, of course, 100%. You're always welcome to be a part of the conversation. Yeah. So, and Mater said that the mother let him stay. See, that's crazy, because I'm thinking like, obviously this kid probably got screwed around, because I mean, here the parents are allowing it to happen. That's, I would say, I would hope, obviously that they wasn't, right? I said that in the very beginning, but reality, this is they are, and the parents were allowing it, and then for him to turn around and then end up getting in trouble for it, like, I don't know, man.
Would you happen, Mater, if you can share, would you happen to know what exactly were the charges that they got him on?
Yeah, good question. I should, yeah.
Because if he's I'm assuming he has to register as a sex offender, or no?
While he's typing this, Summer, I would like you to know, I keep hearing this poor kitty cry.
It's not bad.
Oh, that is my cat. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Let me go get
It's your, no, I'm going to tell you what I have been doing. I have gone to every room in my house looking for my cat, because I'm taking the phone with me, mind you, and I keep hearing this cat meow. And I have looked in 5 rooms for a cat that doesn't look safe, because I kept hearing this cat meow and I thought it was mine.
No, mine too. They're sleeping on the couch. They're knocked out.
I'm like, and then I thought,
she's like, "Whose kitty's hungry?" we love kitties around here, so
we do. We are pet people. But while Mater's trying to put that stuff in, Miss Summer, thank you for Mater, anytime, beauty part. Going back to the original, we're having issues with connecting all these units and departments. There's a downfall where we're not connecting them where they're able to follow one another like pieces of a puzzle being put together. And I think it starts out with the education. Then when something happens, we get them examined and make sure that they're safe properly. We get an advocate. Advocate builds up trust. And then a sexual assault unit has built up their team. And it should, in my real world of niceties, it should flow together.
Yeah, and so listen, for anybody that's listening or whatever, you know what I mean? God forbid something ever happens to you or a family member or whatever, you have the right to have an advocate. You have the right to understand the process, you know what I mean? And feel safe and not feel pressured into anything or any decision or not doing something or doing something, you know what I mean? Like,
never.
You to have a voice and be heard. So, you can always look out in your local community and see like different advocates. Hospitals usually have resources for advocates. So, just FYI, you have that right. It really
And
does help with the process.
it does. And Grace, you keep talking about you want to get involved. You want to get involved. You go to your county court. I know almost every county I live in, they have guardian ad litems. You can apply for a position, go through the training for a position, and you have a caseload of children, and you are their guardian ad litem. They build trust in with you. Um, if things end up going to court, you can't say anything. You can't coast a child, but you've had so much rapport with this child that you are sitting in the courtroom in a chair near them when they're testifying. And
Yep.
it is like one of the best things for our children that we could ever actually do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that if people can and have the heart to do it, and you have to understand it's hard, you know what I mean?
It's hard.
It's hard. It's hard, man. You have days like I'm having today, and it's just my brain's all over the place. I got 500 different emotions, you know what I mean? Because you feel things, and especially if you're a survivor of it, but even if you're not a survivor, you know what I mean? Like you just feel it. You feel all of it, and it's a lot. And some days it just gets a lot, and some days you have to come on YouTube and just start out not making any sense, but then have an amazing conversation that we've had tonight. And I really do appreciate everybody that's been up here. This has been a great, really great conversation. So I just wanted to say that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's been.
What'd you say, Christine? Sorry, you cut out, babe. Is it me or is she having audio problems?
I feel so bad having this poor woman like search her house for a cat and like, it wasn't meowing and it happened to be mine.
Oh, I noticed. Wait, what did you do with the kitty?
Oh no, I had him in the other room because he wanted to go in the room and then he wanted out. So I'm just like, I can't have you do this. Like, I don't understand what he wants.
He's cool. I got mine. They're right here laying on the couch sleeping. There's one over there, one over there. They go everywhere I go. They're fucking little babies. They come on live sometimes. They'll put their big heads on camera.
Marcy's checking out kittens too right now. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be able to, even me, like even when I do I do public speaking and shit. Like I always love when even if I don't have anybody with me, I'll look in the crowd and sometimes there's these faces that just look like safe faces, and it's easy to like concentrate and then be able to do what you need to do because some of the shit I talk about is really hard and it's really deep and it gets a lot. No matter how many times I do it, no matter because that's what happens. It's life. But you just keep doing it. But yeah, like it's good for those kids to have somebody or the adults, because there's adults.
The adults, yes.
Right, men and women. Me, I don't do that. I have my own organization, and
right.
Throughout the process of the community kind of made me an advocate because I just wasn't taking no shit from nobody, and I was speaking up on shit that needed to be spoke up on, and I survived a lot of shit. So, but I go into hospitals, I go into courtrooms, I go into schools, I go into anywhere, and it's one of the hardest things, but at the same time, it's one of the most honorable things I can be a part of. I think it's very honorable that somebody would trust me in a moment like that. And I'm glad that I do that when I can.
We cry, we scream, we get and take hot showers, we crawl under our beds, crawl under our blankets on those bad days.
Or we come on YouTube and we cuss everybody the
there
fuck
you
out.
Go.
That I like to do. So some of you all have seen me cuss people out. You know what I mean? And some of you all have gotten my wrath. But you know what? Sometimes after dealing with a lot of shit, sometimes just fucking cussing somebody out is fucking the thing to do. But you get through it and then you move on and you have a clear brain and you're able to do what you need to do. And the fight continues, right? Like I'm having a hard day today, but it's not going to stop. It ain't going to stop me. Shit. I'm just frustrated. I'm just frustrated because this, and I know when the system is set up to do what the system is exactly doing, it makes it even, you're just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm running in a fucking hamster wheel. But you you make little pebbles of difference, and you just keep going no matter what, because it's really not about the system, and it's not about damn sure not about me. It's about victims, and it's about future victims. And that's why I like talking to people that are, like how you're talking about the courtrooms and stuff. It's good for us to talk from different cities and states and see what's going on, because that's how we make change too. Because we got to see what the loopholes are and what's falling through and what's working and what's not. You know what I mean? And then connect, network. You know what I mean? Shit. I got all kinds of. I just actually came back from DC that had tons of people from New York. I got tons of people up in New York that do this kind of work. So it's just resources, being around people, knowing, and that's what's great about the internet. As toxic as fucking YouTube can be sometimes, that is the good part of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
What's up? Vinny's in the house.
Love it.
Also, if I may add,
Please.
if anyone cared to check out that in other countries there's a lot of atrocities being done. I would like to specifically name two particular places. I don't know if I should, where there's been documentaries being done. A taxi cab driver in the Middle East, specifically in Pakistan, talks about how he's a taxi cab driver, so he drives around. He ends up seeing these orphan boys, and then he talks about nonchalantly, and it's a group of them saying this is what they all do, and it's just kind of like, for whatever reason, like the society that doesn't react to it. But what he typically does is that he kidnaps these kids, and he pretty much first degree on pretty much on all these children. So they're expressing the things that they do to these victims. So I would also try to implore everyone to look into these issues and try to voice some concerns across the pond, so to speak.
Yeah, 100%. That's another reason why I like Ozzy though. He might got a lot of back noise.
Oh, God. Aussie brings a whole lot of stuff from across the pond that I would have never thought of.
All kinds of tons of people. I love that, that's the great thing about the internet, like I said. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with being nosy and getting involved and see what's going on and speaking up. It's hard. It's hard at times. Like, you go through a lot, especially if you're on a front line. Or like, I have respect for auditors and freedom fighters and shit, because it's rough sometimes. But even though just everybody's a freedom fighter, really, you know what I mean? Like, every single one of us, and we have to, and listen, we get caught up in the bullshit. I get it. We get caught up in the bullshit. It happens. We're all dealing with serious shit. Most of us are really frontliners, and we're really doing the fucking work in all these different communities, and it gets rough sometimes. And it's easy to, get caught up in bullshit. But like, we got to make sure that we have that underlying unity. You ain't got to like each other to do the fucking work. You feel me? The work has to be done. So get over trying to be friends, right? If you're friends, awesome. But like, we ain't got to be fucking friends. You ain't even gonna like me, but we can do the work. You feel me? Like, that's the biggest misunderstanding. People think they gotta like each other. Like, nah, baby, we can sit at the table, do the work, get up, and be like, fuck you, and walk away. But as long as that work gets done, that's all that matters. Because then you're not making it about you. You're making it about the work and the cause.
Well, when you have a group of people that aren't friends, and you can put enemies if you want, even those people, it's not about them now. They need to one-up you, so their suggestions, and this is what I say, we have problems, but don't come to me with a problem unless you have a resolution. That resolution might not be the right one, but it's something to build upon.
Yeah. 100%. You don't have to be friends to save children. That's just the point.
Right?
Like, I think you don't have to like each other's politics. You don't have to pray to the same God. You ain't got to lay with the same people. Like, all that shit does not matter. All of that shit needs to fall to the side, because at the end of the day, that shit ain't real. That shit don't matter. That ain't in the bigger picture of shit. People are so small. We're so, and I get it, because we got so much shit coming, right? That's what they do. They throw so much shit at you, keep you distracted, keep you frustrated, keep you in this state of mind. But like, that's don't feel bad, because I'm a human trafficking survivor. When on a daily, I watch the world get pimped out.
Also, if I may also add, I'm so sorry for info dumping. Please also check out, guys, a documentary called Missing 411. It details pretty much.
That one.
Yes, it's so gruesome.
Mhm.
So the layman's term behind it is that a gentleman was trying to do some research in national parks. He wanted to get the government to give him a list of all the missing children and individuals. But I think predominantly he was focusing on children. What we ended up finding out in most national parks is that there's a slew of children that had disappeared, and the government refuses to give to allow citizens to exercise the Freedom of Information Act. So what they ended up doing to this guy was they wanted to charge him over $1 million just to print out this whole list and give it to him. So it sets the tone that just like we've seen on Epstein, that there's a big probability, and because we do have a lot of children in foster care, and a lot of children do go missing every day, I think that we have to realize that there's a huge trafficking issue when it comes to children. It's specifically children.
Right. Yeah.
It's something,
important.
I'm telling you.
It's a lot. It's a lot, man. And you know, I don't do anything that I do, honestly. I'm a solution person, right? Like that's just me. You can come to me and be like, oh my God, everything. Okay, cool. That happened. I understand it. Now what are we gonna do about it? How are we gonna fix it? What needs
That an airplane?
I'm so sorry. Me easy live around underneath a flight path to JFK, which is odd because at 2:00 there's typically never a plane coming on this route. They would take another route.
I think I'm thinking, are we landing or are we taking off?
I'm wondering if it's a military plane by chance, because we had a fighter jet come here at night, which I found weird, and I'm just like, oh, okay, are we praying for war now?
I live on the coast, and I cannot tell you the increase in the maneuvering and the fighter jets that have been going up and down the coast for the last 2 months. Never seen it this busy before, ever.
Ooh,
I know.
That's kind of scary.
There was a time when it was real scary.
I wonder if they happen to be looking for ships by chance.
Well, and it all really started right before they had all those Russian ships that were heading to Cuba that were like 66 miles off the coast of Florida.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's weird.
shit going on, man? Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Shit's really weird right now. It's a weird time to be in.
It makes the state feel safer.
Right.
I responded to one of the comments. I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
No.
Those jets are not for us.
No, they're not for us. They make the ones they're looking for feel unsafe.
Maybe.
Or at least I was gonna say, or at least hopefully they are.
But Summer, I probably think you should definitely look into the route of, if you want to take this, I guess, if you want to take this to the next step, and we're just brainstorming an idea, I think it'd probably be a lot easier for you to get in contact with the politicians in your home state.
Yeah.
And see if either you can get a sit down or at least like a 5-minute conversation over the phone. You could probably put together like a pretty I don't want to say introduction. I can't think of the word right now, but you could put together something where I think
presentation.
Like you could put something. You could give them a presentation so that maybe they could look into the auditing, because I've never had this train of thought till today about the auditing, because that just begs the question. So if certain things are left unreported, then realistically, I think the number would be a lot higher of unconfirmed reports.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's no doubt about that in my mind. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, I think I think it definitely needs to be audited. I mean, we've had the DOJ come in and all that shit, but like all of it, I don't know, man. It's just it's so fucking toxic here, and it's just it's just like, you know how it is. Every now and then, one day you're just like, man, this shit is just but then you're straight the next day. So I'll be all right tomorrow, but it's just one of those days.
if you can tomorrow, check up past reports of the department, right? And see
Okay.
if you can find any situation which caused them to get audited. And the second thing you need to be looking for within that in that spectrum is if it was an independent audit or was it done by a third party.
I feel like we have been audited. And again, my brain's not working at capacity. So, Christine, Casey, will you remind me for us to have this conversation tomorrow? I feel like we have actually been audited a couple of times, actually.
Well, I was going
I
to say, if
think,
you got DOJ there, you should have been audited by now.
well, and even before them too, because when the whole everything happened with Breonna Taylor, like, I mean, you know, obviously it just, we protested, it just shit got, that whole motherfucker, everything. We, for your report, everything, I'm a FOP, police department, all kinds of shit. Like, it was all kind, and then there was other entities I know that outside that, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, that audited them. I'm pretty sure that's what they did. And so I'm not always good with verbiage sometimes, but I'm going to look into that tomorrow because I'm almost positive that that's happened actually before. And I just, and I believe in 2020 and 2021 and stuff, we was throwing that shit all over the internet, if I'm not mistaken. But a lot's happened in a lot of different situations. So I'd have to double check that.
Okay, because I would be more suspicious if the department ends up auditing itself instead of actually having like a third party or like just another group that has no benefit or attachments to that department. But if it happens that they ended up auditing themselves, or that maybe the third party company they hired has some sort of connection, or they previously have consistently done audits for them, then I think one can make the claim that the first step should be getting another company or someone else entirely to do the auditing from
An
that point on.
independent.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And to answer the question about is it just some places there's a state? I live in Kentucky. It's a red state. It's Mitch McConnell state. So I really shouldn't have to say any more than that. I just say Mitch McConnell, and I mean that's there you go. So that's
You ever watch Futurama?
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Okay, every time I used to watch Mitch McConnell during the pandemic, like speak, it reminded me of Zoidberg when he didn't have the shell on.
Oh my God! Yes, dead man walking. He's an idiot. He's a fucking clown, dude. So yeah. So this is what I'm working with, right? Like that's who runs my shit. Is, you know, that's the head dumbass in charge in this state, and it flinkles down to a bunch of. And we have a couple gyms in the mix of everything, but yeah, it's a lot. And then, you know, what's crazy is, and because of the hard work and stuff that I have put in, I am in positions to be able to see how these people work, right? Yeah, like firsthand. And it's just like, wow. It's just, yeah. And don't get me wrong, we have done some things here in Kentucky, right? Like we've done some amazing things. We put the trailblaze on the no knock warrants. We got judges removed. We've got cops that are being prosecuted. We've got, you know, laws that have been changed. But it's just when you're in such a fucked up system like one that we have here, it's really, really hard, man. Because like you just, again, like she said earlier, you think you're seeing, you know, not even a light, you know, just a twinkle. And next thing you know, it's, I mean, we are now again making national news yet again, you know, yet again having another chief, yet again more sexual assaults with, you know, the same department that we did a whistleblower case happened a year ago that, you know, the person won. So we won that case, you know, not the department. So it's just, you know, it just be like that.
So it's 2:00 and I have grandbaby tonight and she's going to be up in a few hours.
Yeah,
I need to go to bed.
Well, I don't think mine's more corrupt, but I definitely think it's a very corrupt state. But yeah, have a great day. Great night.
Yeah.
Coming up. It was, yeah, I'm going to probably wrap it up here in a minute.
And
I
it
went
was
on
good talking with you. I really enjoyed you. Brought great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for actually having me, guys. You guys been wonderful. This is actually my first live debate panel, so or not debate panel, like a live discussion. I've been
Right.
keeping up with easy stuff, but Every time I
Yeah.
try to find a cable from a microphone for the computer, like today was the day I found it. But I would love to like do this again on other topics.
Oh, please,
You,
please sub and please come. I would love to have you come and talk anytime. This is what I love right here. This is
Yeah.
everything. So
that's perfect. No, yeah, that's fine. I will definitely subscribe. Yeah, so I do wide range topics, but again, if you have more of like these specific topics, where we talk about like serious things, I'd be more than happy to lend some of my experiences. Besides that, thank you for having me, Summer.
100%. Thank you for coming up. And yeah, most definitely. I love having, I do, I do a little silly shit sometimes, but yeah, I like having serious conversations. So, and actually, Casey, which helps me a lot with things, she said LMPD was audited last year. Now, I will find out if it was an independent or, maybe I'll see who did it. Maybe we'll see if we can pull up them paperwork. But that's what I thought they had been, and I think they've been audited several times in the last couple of years because it's just been a fucking shit show. But anyway, thanks for coming up so much.
No problem. You guys have a good night.
All right, sweetie. Have a great night.
Peace.
Peace. Holler. Oh man. Well, I want to say thank you to everybody that stopped by. I know the beginning of this is, was a hot mess a little bit, but some days when you're doing the work, it just gets hard. And today was one of those days. But what I do love is this turned out to be an amazing fucking conversation. The chat was involved, the panel was involved. It was all fucking amazing. I appreciate Easy and every single person that came up on panel. Every single person that was in chat. Really, like, it was a really good night. So we will do this again. I will holler at you guys later. We'll be having some more conversations about these particular topics because this is probably going to be an ongoing situation for a little while. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Everybody have a great night. And remember, be a part of the solution, not the problem. But if you're going to be a part of the problem, be the whole fucking problem. Holler.